over the course and distance in recent years. They're looking for a 6th title in 7 years, and at this stage of the season, when it comes to the running, then Manchester City in the past have been the team to back. Well, Pep Guardiola has got a balancing act with Real Madrid to come here on Wednesday, and as they seek to extend their long and unbeaten run here at home to 41 games, he has made 6 changes from the game in the Bernabeu midweek. Ederson is back in goal after a 5-game absence after that thigh injury to replace Ortega. Doku, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Núñez and Lewis all start. Grealish, Rodri, Bernardo Silva and Foden are on the bench. John Stones isn't fully fit, according to Guardiola, so he has been rested. Ederson then in goal, a back four of Lewis, Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol. Kovacic, De Bruyne, Núñez, Alvarez, Doku and Erling Haaland. For Luton Town, they've got 7 centre-backs, and Rob Edwards this week was saying that none of them were in a position to train. Rhys Burke at least has made the starting lineup, but he is the only one. He partners Hashioka. Onyedinma and Doughty are the full-backs. Townsend, Clark, Barkley, Chong, Berry and Carlton Morris. Dare you say it, Leon Osman, you'd have to be mad as a hatter to suggest that Luton Town could get 3 points here today.
Good start, Ian. Yeah, I mean, you look at the strength of this Manchester City team, the squad, the changes they've been able to make ahead of that Real Madrid game coming in the week, and they look far and away the likely winners of this contest. But you never know, Luton will come here and try and make it difficult, try and get something in the game. Hopefully we're in for a good afternoon.
Well, we're underway. The players have just taken the knee as Luton Town playing from right to left in their orange shirts and navy shorts. The ball goes out of play for a throw. It's another dedicated weekend for the Premier League and the message of no room for racism. And I've got to say, Luton Town did a social media post this week with a video that included Rob Edwards and just general members of the staff at Luton Town Football Club. And if you haven't seen it, I would urge it, because it is extremely powerful for what the damage it can do to those who continually seem to feel it's right to give players abuse just because of the colour of their skin. And so Luton Town need commending for that, because you can bet, sadly, that will be replicated for most clubs up and down the country. De Bruyne releases Haaland. Haaland's away. Haaland into the penalty area. Good save by Kaminski. Comes out to Doku. Doku takes it into the penalty area. Shot blocked. Haaland again. Off a deflection and it's in. Left-footed volley from Haaland. It was a cruel deflection. And inside 70 seconds, the champions Manchester City are ahead. And it was off Hashioka, the unfortunate player. Manchester City up and running in just over a minute.
Yeah, and I think the unfortunate player is Hashioka. I think it comes off his face, and he's still down, waiting to receive treatment. It was just so simple for Manchester City. Luton try and go tight, they try and go man-to-man. The ball bounces in the middle of the pitch, and before anyone knows what's happened, Kevin De Bruyne has put it into the space that Erling Haaland will be after. He gets through one-on-one. You expect him to actually score outright himself. It's a pretty tame finish for a player of his finishing ability. Doku then does well, there's a ricochet, he falls up, and De Bruyne does sort of an overhead sidewinder kick. He catches the ball at a really high point, such as the length of his legs. The shot isn't going on target though, he's going to miss the target, comes off the defender, and Luton behind already, in for a very difficult afternoon from here.
Yeah, Haaland, that won't go down as his 20th goal in the Premier League. That will go down as an own goal from Hashioka. Because, as you say, it was off target. Carlisle 0, Blackpool 1 is the latest score in League One. Carlisle already relegated, and an early goal in the Championship at St Mary's, Paul Scott.
Southampton 1, Watford 0. The home side needing just 60 seconds to take the lead. A cross from the left from Adam Armstrong, headed home by Will Smallbone. Saints 1, Watford 0.
Play yet to resume, as Hashioka has been getting treatment because it did strike him full on in the face. Half time in the Women's Six Nations, Scotland, England, Mas Faruqi.
3 tries, 1 converted, mean it's a 17-0 half-time lead for England here in Edinburgh. Cockayne down, Kildone with the tries. Cockayne also spent 10 minutes in the bin for an illegal tackle. England 1 try away from another bonus point win. Scotland 0, England 17 at half-time.
Luton's first visit to the Etihad, only their second league meeting in 25 years. Their last top-flight visit was at Main Road in 1992. They lost by 4-0, and one could argue that damage limitation may be already for Luton Town, because goal difference at both ends of the table is crucial, considering that Manchester City before today were 11 goals inferior to that of the leaders Arsenal, and Luton had an inferior difference of 4 between them and Forest, separating them from the relegation zone.
Yeah, I'm just looking down at Rob Edwards, who's very thoughtful, head sort of in his hand at the moment, and you have to wonder whether he'd take 4-0 from this point, you know, after being 1-0 down so early. Plenty of the game left to go. Manchester City, 1 attack, 1 goal. They'll attack a lot more. They'll have Erling Haaland, Alvarez. They'll all be desperate to get on the score sheet. And yeah, as I said, difficult afternoon already in store for Luton. And as you said, for Manchester City, how hungry are they? Is 3 points enough, or do they want to really make a statement with regards to catching the other 2 goal difference wise? Possibilities today.
Swindon 0, Wimbledon 1 is the latest score in League 2, and also in that division, Walsall 0, Notts County 1. As we welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, wherever you are in the world, pleasure to have your company. Here we are at the Etihad, where Manchester City are already leading Luton Town by 1-0. An own goal from the Japanese international Hashioka off a left-footed attempted volley from Haaland. So Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts, playing from left to right as De Bruyne plays the ball in towards the penalty area, looking for the run of Alvarez. And Luton Town, beleaguered really in terms of the lack of defensive options, have really got to try and do their very, very best to keep Manchester City at bay, as they are closing in on equaling a club record. They're 40 games unbeaten at home in all competitions. The record is 42, set back in 1919 to November 1921. They're underway in the Liverpool hurdle at Aintree. John Hunt.
Yes, they've just started here in an hour's time, of course, in the Grand National. But here, some of the best hurdlers around, and Floring Porto, who used to be the champion over this distance, leads the field. But Hewick, the King George winner over fences at Christmas, is a close second. Early stages here.
And we'll be back with John. Don't forget the Grand National at 4 o'clock. So at half-time, when we hand back to Aintree and Steve Crossman, who's presenting there from the programme from there today, the whole of the race will be on 5 Live Sport. The football uninterrupted for the second half will be on Sports Extra, and then the conclusion of this game will be back on 5 Live once they've done and dusted. We've sorted out the runners and the riders and the result from the National today. Fleetwood lead Northampton by 1-0. There was a possibility Fleetwood could have been relegated today, as Lewis for Manchester City. That early goal, and already, Leon, they've just settled into a nice rhythm as Akanji picks it up 30 yards out from goal. Kovacic and Luton Town have just packed their defence, basically. It's just a wall of orange that City will try and get round, as the cross was fired in from the left. Chong now will break, head down, running forward. Alvarez tracking back with him. He did well, he had very little option.
It's good from both. Good from Chong, because that's what the team need. Luton, when they do win the back, they're really deep. Just be brave enough to actually take the ball forward and drive and try and get the team up the pitch. He did that. Good tracking back by Alvarez as well. Good intent from Manchester City just to keep winning that ball back.
Doncaster 1, Accrington 0, Fleetwood 1, Northampton 0, Bolton 0, Portsmouth 1. Portsmouth could be promoted today. They could also win the title in League 1. Let's get an update in the Rugby Union. Bordeaux Harlequins, Adam Whitty.
Bordeaux 0, Harlequins 7. What a start for the English side. Alex Dombrad with the break down the narrow side. Passed inside to Will Porter to run in unopposed. Smith converted to make it Bordeaux 0, Harlequins 7. 5 minutes gone.
No other latest scores to tell you about. Luton Town trailing here in the early stages. Newcastle United 4, Tottenham 0. Leeds United unable to take advantage of Leicester's slip at Plymouth last night, beaten at home by Blackburn Rovers. So Blackburn certainly easing any lingering relegation fears with that excellent win at Ellen Road. We'll see how Ipswich will fare as they take on Middlesbrough today at Portman Road. Talk about Portsmouth potentially winning the title. There is the chance for Stockport likewise to do the same in League Two, and there's been a goal at Edgeley Park. Rich Wolfenden.
There has, and it's their top goal scorer. Alafe scores after a brilliant quick counter down the right hand side. Alafe with his 20th goal of the season makes Stockport 1, Morecambe 0.
That would mean promotion. They'll win the title if both Wrexham and Mansfield were to lose. Let's get news of that goal at Bolton from Nestor McGregor.
Yes, Abu Kamara with the goal for Portsmouth. He's a left-footed player playing out wide on the right, cut inside, wasn't closed down, low left-footed shot. The keeper stood absolutely no chance. Pompey 1 foot in the Championship, 1 hand on the EFL League One trophy.
Gvardiol has just warmed the hands of goalkeeper Kaminski. He scored his first goal for the club with a fine curling effort in the second half in Madrid on Tuesday. Here, edge of the area, right-footed. Tested Kaminski looking for his first goal in the Premier League.
Yeah, good hit, good save. It's from a very similar position. He scored at Real Madrid in the week.
Corner kick comes in, it's flat, it's pulled out towards De Bruyne, set up for him, and then right-footed, blazed it over the crossbars. He tries to place it rather than to go for power.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was a well-worked corner kick to find him at the edge of the penalty area unmarked, but on the ball from Alvarez was just too close to that Luton defensive line as they came out. It was onto that penalty spot. He had to step onto it and couldn't control his finish.
We're going to go racing. It's the Liverpool hurdle, and here's your commentator John Hunt.
And they're about to turn for home here with 3 to jump, and Flooring Porter still leads the field. Buddy One up on the outside, a surprise package, moving well, better than Hewick, who's now under pressure, and Rachel Blackmore's behind them on Hidden Valley Lake with every chance as well. Then from the back of the field, Strong Leader, who finishes his race very strongly. There's a gap then to Monkfish. Dashel Drash as well beaten, so too is Crambo, Botox Has and Champ, both being pulled up down to the second last. Buddy One is still out in front. Buddy One leads. Strong Leader into second place. Made a mistake there though, that could be costly. Third for Hidden Valley Lake. Flooring Porter's well beaten, so too Hewick, so too is Monkfish. Only 3 of them count. The final flight of hurdles. Buddy One, Strong Leader in the air together. Strong Leader again made a mess of that, but he landed in front. He's headed Buddy One, who can't respond. Hidden Valley Lake's back in third place. Strong Leader driven right out here. 3 or 4 legs clear. He's going to win the Liverpool hurdle. Strong Leader goes on to score. Second place, just Buddy One, and in third, Hidden Valley Lake. Strong Leader the winner. He's ridden by Sean Bowen, and later on Sean will have an outside ride in the Grand National. He rides the Goffer for Gordon Elliott. He's won here on Strong Leader, Ian, at a nice price, 8 to 1.
Thank you, John. John now will go off and study in a darkened room ahead of the Grand National. De Bruyne goes down. The referee had a good view of that and said straight away that there was no penalty. That's John Brooks, who's our match official today. So the Grand National to come at 4 o'clock live here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And of course the US Masters at Augusta. The third round coverage will be at 9 o'clock tonight on BBC Radio 5 after 6:06, and our next commentary, Bournemouth against Manchester United, because this is the first of 5 Premier League commentaries this weekend. And we've got the title contenders every step of the way, because tomorrow we're at Anfield, Liverpool Crystal Palace at 2, Arsenal Aston Villa to follow at 4:30 before the final round at Augusta. Hearts 0, Livingston 1. Derby County leading Leyton Orient by a goal to 0. Derby County second in League One. Cheltenham 0, Bristol Rovers 1. Bristol Rovers, who really have been struggling of late. No goal or win in their last 7 games, but they've taken the lead there at Cheltenham. And Hull lead Queen's Park Rangers by a goal to 0 in the Championship. Millwall 1, Cardiff 0, and you're up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. But here it's just like a training exercise in many respects. Our heads and necks are turned away towards the right-hand side because it is just one-way traffic, Leon Osman.
Yeah, they're not created an awful lot from the control that they've got at the moment, Manchester City. They're doing what we see game in, game out. They keep possession of the ball midway into their opposition's half. They move it, they stretch the pitch, they wait for the opposition, just to lose concentration so those gaps appears. As yet, Luton's concentration levels have been high since that first minute goal. But they're not offering an awful lot in possession or getting forward.
Portsmouth on course for promotion and the title in League One. Derby with that lead could actually move 5 points clear of third place Bolton. As Manchester City are forward, this is Kovacic. Elsewhere in the Premier League, what about Burnley and Brighton at Turf Moor? Lee Blakeman.
Burnley 0, Brighton 0. Burnley very much on top. They've just had an appeal for a penalty waved away. Estupinian bringing down Odebear. Nothing given following a VAR check. Burnley 0, Brighton 0.
The goal here for Manchester City officially timed as 65 seconds. Birmingham 1, Coventry 0 is a latest score in the Championship. Coventry looking to try and close down Norwich in the playoff positions. They're currently 7th. Birmingham have lost 6 of their last 7, but have taken the lead at St Andrews. Ball floated out by Ruben Dias. It's a diagonal ball. Doku brings it under control. Left side of the penalty area. Down towards the byline he goes. With the pull back comes to Maciej Nunes, and Kamiński didn't gather it in convincingly. Didn't probably strike it that cleanly, Matheus Nunes. It was left-footed, and Kamiński gathered it in at the second attempt.
Yeah, good play from Jeremy Doku down that left-hand side. 1v1 with Onyedinma. He went to the byline and just fired it back right through the penalty spot. Nunes arrives on it and not convincing with his finish at all. I don't think he believed he was going to score from there. An easy save.
In League Two, it's 4th versus 3rd. There's been a goal. Mike Williams.
The home side in front. MK Dons 1, Mansfield 0. Beautiful curling shot from the edge of the box from Max Dean has put MK Dons in front. That means, as things stand, they will leapfrog Mansfield and replace them in the automatic promotion places. MK Dons 1, Mansfield 0.
And it's unlikely that Phil Parkinson's Wrexham would slip up to bottom of the table, Forest Green. But if they would, with Stockport leading, they'd also be crowned as champions today. De Bruyne coming forward. De Bruyne slips it into Alvarez. Alvarez inside right channel of the penalty area. Waits, stumbles, and then loses the ball. News of that goal at St Andrews, Nikesh Ragani.
Yeah, and it was Keshi Anderson. It was a throw in from the left, thrown into Anderson from a tight angle, 6 yards out. He shot with his left foot. It took a slight deflection, but a massive goal for Birmingham in their fight against relegation. Birmingham 1, Coventry 0.
Doku tries to wriggle away on that left-hand side, but Onyedinma, who's only just come back into the picture really for Luton Town. He's a winger really, isn't he? Onyedinma. He's been away on loan in the Championship at Rotherham. He's filling in at right back. Such is the bereft of defensive options.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, isn't it? He's held his own so far. Doku's beat him once. He did really well defensively there, but the issue is when he wins the ball back, where does he go? What does he do? He tried to just play along and hope for the best, give the ball straight back to Manchester City, and then they come again.
Here is Ross Barkley in the midfield, slows it down, able to turn, still the ball at his feet, threads it short and through towards Clark, comes under pressure from Kovacic, loose ball picked up by Haaland, back heels the ball to De Bruyne, back towards Haaland, wants it on his left boot, and then it's taken away by Doughty, and Doughty now runs forward, and he's bursting through the middle. Is Doughty, he's over the halfway line, finds Morris struggles to control it, does well though to get it out towards Townsend now running forward, Luton on the counter-attack, Townsend passes the ball to Morris, and it was fractionally behind him, and it allowed Rico Lewis at right back just to step out of defence and to bring the ball clear, because that had potential for Luton Town.
You have to make the most of those moments. It was a good break. Doughty initially did brilliant just to drive the ball up the pitch, win it back from Erling Haaland in the penalty area. Then Morris did well as to follow that up, but just a lack of decision making really from Andros Townsend. He cuts inside, he looked like he was going to cross it, then he looked like he was going to shot, and then he chose a third option which wasn't really on that through ball. And yeah, I think you've got to at least make Ederson work in those moments.
Diaz steps forward out to Alvarez, right hand side. Manchester City lead by 1-0, 17 minutes played just outside the area, and they'll get a throw down by the corner flag. Brentford, Sheffield United elsewhere in the Premier League. Henry Moran.
That's Brentford on top. Sheffield United with the best chance. Brereton Diaz skipping across the Brentford half. His shot in the end was tame. Brentford 0, Sheffield United 0.
Here is Akanji. Thought he was going to shoot there as it came away off his left boot for his first touch. Just opened up for him. Instead he passed the ball out. Now we've got the sunshine that Steve Crossman was talking about at Aintree, as it brightens up here at the Etihad, where the champions Manchester City are leading by 1-0. Diaz towards De Bruyne. De Bruyne curls it in. It was a teasing one, and at the far post sliding in was Haaland, couldn't keep it down and out for a goal kick. So we've been to Brentford, we've been to Burn, and we can now go to Pat Murphy at the City Ground.
Forest 0, Wolves 0. Forest making all the early running. Yates 25 yards, low save from Sarr. Hudson-Odoi found space but then chipped over the bar. The longer this goes on, the more twitchy they might be though. Forest 0-0 at the City Ground.
At the top of League 2, Stockport are leading Morecambe by a goal to nil. Fourth place MK Dons are leading third place Mansfield 1-0, and there's now been a goal at Wrexham. Owen Gwyneth.
Wrexham now lead 1-0 against Forest Green. Thomas O'Connor with the corner. Massive goal-mouth scramble in the box, and Elliot Lee, the midfielder, there to pounce for his 16th goal of the season. The Dragons ahead. Wrexham 1, Forest 3-0.
But Wrexham can't be promoted today because MK Dons and Barrow both need to fail to win. Derby have got a second goal at home to Leyton Orient. Derby County 2, Leyton Orient 0. Salford are leading Bradford City by a goal to nil, and you're up to date. 5 Live and the World Service. Free kick to Manchester City, 25 yards out from goal. Leading 1-0, playing from left to right as we look. 19 minutes played. 3 in the wall for Luton Town. Doughty just turns to face Kaminski, and the goalkeeper decked out all in purple on his goal line. Doughty now turns back to face De Bruyne and Alvarez, who stand over this free kick. Alvarez runs over it, De Bruyne to take it, curled in towards the far post. Guardiola with the header at the far post, runs across the face of goal and hooks out of play for a throw. Back to the Rugby Union and Adam Whittick.
Harlequins lead Bordeaux 14-0. A second try for Quins, a penalty try this time. Pablo Oberti in the bin for a deliberate knock-on. What a start for the visitors. Bordeaux 0, Quins 14, 15 minutes gone.
He's had 2 sights of goal now, Guardiola. One with his right boot and now with his head.
Yeah, and not this chance and the one from Erling Haaland as well. Both came from wonderful delivery from Kevin De Bruyne. That inside right channel, this one the set piece. Guardiola probably is wanting to ask where his striker is. It's gone far post, he's headed it back across. He just wants someone inside the 6-yard box tapping it in, and moments ago Kevin De Bruyne did that lovely pass again from that inside right channel. It did bounce just in front of Erling Haaland, but it's one we expect him to finish. So he's set his standards so high, so he'll be frustrated he's not on the score sheet at this point, Erling Haaland.
Lewis runs in field. Akanji out to Ruben Diaz, 25 yards out. He sends over the cross. Onyedinma heads it away with his back to goal. De Bruyne tries to bring it under control. Luton can't get it clear. Clark's forward ball to Morris. Morris turns, just nudges it into the path of Clark running across, but Mateus Nunes comes across and snuffs it, and it goes out of play for a throw. 83% in terms of possession for Manchester City. Another goal at St Mary's in the Championship. Paul Scott.
St Mary's is rocking. 20 minutes on the clock. It is Southampton 2, Watford 0. Across from the left, wasn't dealt with by the Watford backline. Che Adams converting from close range. Saints 2, Watford 0.
Now we know Derby County are leading Leyton Orient by 2-0 at the top of League One. Peterborough, who are 4th, actually have 2 games in hand on Derby and only 6 points behind. They've won their last 2, but they are behind to playoff chasing Oxford United. Oxford 1, Peterborough 0 is a latest score, and in League 2 Newport lead Tranmere by a goal to nil. Luton Town still trailing 1-0. This is the Premier League live on BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, and also the World Service on Grand National Day. De Bruyne shoots low, edge of the area, right-footed, gathered in by Kaminski.
Yeah, it's tough for Luton. They tried to have a good bit of possession. It wasn't bad. They played from one side across to the other at the back. They're taking the ball under pressure, but you take chances, you take risks like that. Manchester City are a very good team at winning the ball back. Kevin De Bruyne nearly the beneficiary of that.
Alvarez inside, Clark with the interception prevents it from reaching Nunes. Townsend can't hold on to it as Akanji steps forward, a little bit scrappy at the minute. Kovacic heads it forward. Mateus Nunes brings it out under control, and then Luton get it back. Not only are we keeping in touch of Bordeaux Harlequins in the Champions Cup quarter-final, but also in the Women's Six Nations, Scotland, England, Maz Faruqi.
Point try at the start of the second half, touchdown under the post by Sadio Kabaya, and the conversion is good as well. So it's Scotland 0, England 24.
Mateus finds Haaland onto his left foot, then onto his right, inside right channel of the penalty area with his back to goal, brings it outside the penalty area. Ipswich 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Yeah,
that is incredible, given that Leicester City and Leeds United have both stumbled, and now Ipswich, Becky Ives.
Yes, against the run of play, because they've been dominant in this game, but Luke Ayling with the cross from Middlesbrough on the counter. Emmanuel Latte-Lath was there to head it home. Ipswich 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Luke Ayling on loan from Leeds United. Doncaster 2, Accrington 0. Doncaster in a really good run of form. They've won their last 7. Crawley 0, Colchester 1 is a latest score in League 2. That's an excellent result for, or a latest score for Colchester, as Doku places the shot wide. Colchester are next to bottom. They've only had 1 win in their last 12, but are leading at Crawley, who need to win themselves really for the playoffs. Lincoln 0, Wigan 1 is the latest score in League 1. Lincoln have been unbeaten in their last 16 games, and you're up to date. Incredible at the top of the championship, though, isn't it? Does anybody want to get promoted?
Nobody wants to win. Nobody wants to get promoted. Opportunities, maybe the pressure of what's at stake is really holding those teams back, but it's making for brilliant viewing.
I was being flippant as well before anybody says what a stupid remark that was. Of course they want to get promoted. As Manchester City looking to go to the top of the Premier League, but certainly they've got the jitters, all 3 of them. Leicester, Leeds and Ipswich. Ipswich without a goal or indeed a win in their last 2. Middlesbrough still have an outside sniff of the playoffs. They're putting a bit of a run together. They're unbeaten in 8 and are leading at Portman Road 1-0. Cardiff have equalised at Millwall. Millwall 1, Cardiff 1. Wrexham have got a second goal at home to Forest Green as they close in on promotion. Owen Gwyneth.
Too easy here for Wrexham. Elliot Lee with a driving run, passing it to James McLean on the left-hand side, chips it in, and it's that man, Paul Mullin, with his 12th goal in 11 games, 23rd for the season. It's Wrexham 2, Forest Green 0.
No title for Stockport, but they are on course for promotion from League 2. Dave Challonor's side leading Morecambe by a goal to 0. Manchester City out towards Doku, far side the left. We're in the 25th minute. BBC Radio 5 Live as Doku tries to dance his way in towards the penalty area. Shot comes in, blocked by Hashioka. Picked up then by Kovacic. Loose ball, Haaland has a shot. Block came in from Burke in his penalty area. It was a quick snapshot from Haaland. Manchester City piling on the pressure. Luton Town, who conceded the opening goal after 65 seconds, just trying to keep the champions at bay. Hearts 0, Livingston 2 is the latest score at Tynecastle in the Scottish Premiership. Cross comes in from Mateus and evades everybody inside that penalty area at McDermott Park. St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1 in the Scottish Premiership. Akanji to De Bruyne. De Bruyne looks for a sight of goal, passes it to the edge of the area, on the stretch, Kovacic to Akanji. Left corner of the box now is Doku. Enters the area, outside, De Bruyne. He tees up Diaz. Diaz with a shot, took a deflection, saved by Kaminski. Tranmere equalised at Newport 1-1. Leon Osman.
Yeah, pretty tame shot as well, but yeah, they finally turned the tempo up, Manchester City. Pep Guardiola in front of us for about 5 minutes was starting to get really frustrated, despite his team seemingly in control of the game, despite his team being ahead. He was remonstrating with a few of his team players. He was asking them to do a little bit more, and now I see the response. He's asked them to raise the tempo. They're suddenly moving the ball a lot quicker, and those opportunities, when they do start to present themselves.
Charlton Athletic going ever so well under Nathan Jones, unbeaten in 12 before today, have taken the lead at the Abbey Stadium. Cambridge United 0, Charlton 1 is the latest score in League 1. Alvarez midway through the Luton half. Lewis is almost by his side, and the young England international now takes over. Diaz comes forward of the centre circle. Every outfield player really camped inside that Luton Town half, away towards our right hand side, leading still by a goal to 0. Here is Gvardiol. Gvardiol looks for Haaland. Haaland's touch. Back to Gvardiol. Doku comes onto it left hand side. Can't get past Andros Townsend. I remember, it was hard to believe it's back in 2018. It doesn't seem that long ago. Andros Townsend scored an absolute worldie here for Crystal Palace when he picked up that ball and went running at the City goal about 5, 6, 7 minutes ago. I thought, could he maybe unleash one on the run? Instead he looked towards Morris. Mateus Nunes, right-footed, fires it wide, threaded through by De Bruyne. Runner off the ball, couldn't find the net.
Brilliant run, even better pass. The only disappointing thing for Manchester City was the finish. Yes, it was probably from the corner of the 6-yard box, and he's hit it really hard and he's hit it low, but it just catches that far post, that far upright, the wrong side of the upright as far as Mateus Nunes is concerned. But brilliant bit of play from Manchester City, and that should have been the second.
It kissed the far post. Just looking for that little bit of good fortune that maybe you might require on Grand National Day. What was your tip in the end? Did you go for in the big race?
Just don't bother. Has been my fortune over the last few days of Aintree racing.
Chong forward against all the odds, wins a corner kick for Luton Town, unable to offer anything in open play. Let's see what they can do with a set piece.
Yeah,
trailing 1-0.
These could be big moments. He's done really well there. Chong drove up the pitch. I've said before, I was really positive when he did drive up the pitch. This time he's earned his team a corner, and you can get your delivery right if you can attack it well. If somebody can go and claim that equalising goal, getting on the end of a big chance here, then suddenly it does give City something to think about.
Everybody is forward bar Onyedinma. Everybody is back for Manchester City. Doughty with the outswinging corner. Diaz heads it away. Picked up by Clark, edge of the area. Plays it back in. Too close to the goalkeeper, Edison, on his return to the starting lineup. And then he was impeded by Ross Barkley, looking for a quick throw out. And he's just getting a talking to from the referee, John Brooks.
Yeah, he's doing well not to get a yellow card there. City had the real potential to break. They had runners all over the pitch. He tried to throw it out early, Edison, to Jeremy Doku, who'd run through the centre, and Ross Barkley just hand across him, holds his arm back, makes Edison misplace that throw, and referees let him off with one there.
So you're saying you haven't had a bet in the National?
I've had 5 bets in the National, Ian, but the way my bets have gone the whole of this last few days, I would probably advise anybody not to follow the horses I've picked.
Yeah, don't bet silly, bet savvy. Here is Doku, forward on that far side, the left. Manchester City now with Kovacic. Now Mateus. Lewis waits near side, midway through the Luton Town half. Manchester City still leading by a goal to 0. Newcastle earlier beat Tottenham 4-0. Leeds 0, Blackburn 1 was the result in the Championship. No goals at Brentford, Burnley or Nottingham Forest in the top flight. As De Bruyne invites Gvardiol to come forward, and the Croatian duly obliges. Out then to Doku. Lifts over the cross, blocked behind for a corner kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, he's looked sharp, Jeremy Doku. I think he's been somebody that can really unlock this Luton defensive structure. He's up against Onyedinma. He's happy to take the ball and go with him. Onyedinma's done quite well so far. He has tried to match him. He's got great pace himself, but it's been a good battle.
Half an hour played. 5 Live, BBC Sounds and the World Service. Corner kick for Manchester City, fired in swinger. And Kaminsky was under real pressure. The frame of the goal is actually rattling. It was Carlton Morris back there on defensive duties who may have jumped into it, and he's picked up a little bit of a blow as well. Struggling at the moment, Morris.
It's a brilliant header though. Just gets there in front of his goalkeeper, just inside his own front post, a yard out. He was actually going back towards his own goal, so that could have gone into his own goal had he not got the header right. Perfectly good defensive header.
Another corner kick. It's another in-swinger from that far side, the left. Gvardiola's gone down. Kovacic with a mistimed volley, and then headed behind by Doughty. And Luton Town can't get out. It's a third successive corner to the champions.
And there's all sorts of grappling going on. Both sets of players are complaining to the referee that they're being fouled. I think Burke ended up on the floor. I think even Diaz was complaining. Gvardiol certainly thought he'd been fouled as well. So difficult time for the referee.
On this occasion, Alvarez with the corner kick plays it back to Kovacic, then towards De Bruyne. Gvardiol had stayed forward. Luton partially get the ball away, lifted back in. Barkley heads it out towards Chong, tries to run it clear, comes under pressure from Doku, but they've worked it out towards this near side, and we've got 12 minutes to go to half time, and Luton Town want everybody to go forward and just to try and give that back line a little bit of respite, still trailing by a goal to 0. There's been another goal at MK Dons in League 2, Mike Williams.
MK Dons 1, Mansfield 1, equaliser for the Stags, which means they are back in the automatic promotion places as things stand. Cross at the byline from Hiram Boateng, tapped in by Elliot Hewitt, the defender, and this means, Ian, that as things stand as well, Wrexham can be promoted this afternoon.
Stockport, remember, also can be promoted. They're leading Morecambe by a goal to 0. Bordeaux Harlequins, Adam Whitty.
Bordeaux 5, Harlequins 14. The hosts back in it through France scrum half Maxime Lucu sniping down the narrow side of the maul. Bordeaux 5, Quins 14, 24 minutes gone.
BBC Radio 5 Live here at the Etihad. Just over 10 minutes to go to half time. And could have two of the issues settled in League Two today, as it currently stands. Could be opening up the champagne for Stockport and for Wrexham, because Wrexham's equation was that they promoted if they were to win, and MK Dons and Barrow were to fail to win, which is currently what's happening. And in fact, Barrow are now down to 10 men as they're drawing 0-0 away at Gillingham. We're about, less than half an hour away then from the Grand National. It's got a flavour from Aintree with John Hunt.
It's pretty overcast here at Aintree, Ian. Bit breezy. People have picked their spot for the big race. Have they picked the winner, though? I Am Maximus, the current favourite, at 7-1 ahead of Corrock Rambler, and Mr. Incredible, the third favourite, also well fancied. All the build-up to come. The race in its entirety on BBC Radio 5 Live. Uninterrupted football will be on Sports Extra and the World Service. Manchester City coming forward, leading by a goal to nil. Ruben Dias out towards Doku. He's switched towards the right-hand side. Mateus is down the line towards the byline. Back towards Doku, just trying to prise open this Luton Town defence for a second time this afternoon as Lewis waits. Luton Town, though, proving to be obdurate opposition. Dias now towards Kovacic. They're still keeping their shape very, very well. That low block from Luton. Now Ipswich were trailing as the ball is played forward to Mateus, keeps it in play, hooks it back into the penalty area, headed behind by Townsend for a corner, and there's been another goal at Portman Road. Becky Ives.
They've got themselves back on level terms. Ipswich 1, Middlesbrough 1. Massimo Luongo was a corner, the ball went deep and he just came from nowhere at the back post and slammed it home into the roof of the net. Ipswich 1, Middlesbrough 1.
There was a chance Fleetwood could have been relegated from League One today if they were to lose and results go against them. They've just got a second goal as they lead Northampton Town by 2-0, and Hull City are leading Queen's Park Rangers 2-0 as the corner from that far side, the left, drops onto the roof of the net. Oxford United 2, Peterborough 0 is a blow for any hopes that Peterborough had of automatic promotion. Port Vale lead Exeter by 1-0 in League One. Hearts 2, Livingston 2 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership, and another goal at St Mary's. Paul Scott.
Southampton 2, Watford 1. The visitors have halved the deficit. Defender Ryan Porteous with a shot deflected from the edge of the area. It flew into the top corner past Gavin Bazunu. Southampton 2, Watford 1.
Another goal at Wrexham. Owen Gwyneth.
Yes, Wrexham 3, Forest Green 0. A deflected goal by centre-back Ewan O'Connell. A mixer from the corners. A shot came in, deflected, but it's been given as an Innis own goal. Nothing going right for the Greens. Wrexham 3, Forest Green 0.
And now all of a sudden it's a question of whether MK Dons and Barrow could maybe spoil the party for Wrexham, because if they both fail to win, then Wrexham will be promoted with Stockport as it stands. 9 minutes to go to half time. Manchester City lead by 1-0. Kovacic on the edge of the area. Dias also comes forward. I thought Dias was going to shoot then. Instead passes the ball right corner of the area. Rico Lewis to Mateus. 6 changes, remember, that Pep Guardiola has made today from the side that played out in Madrid on Tuesday, and for Real Madrid to come on Wednesday night. The return legs of the Champions League quarter-finals. We'll have a choice of listening for you on Wednesday. Manchester City, Real Madrid on 5 Live. Bayern, Arsenal will be on Sports Extra as Kovacic lifts the ball over the top and it goes straight out of play for a goal kick. Women's Six Nations, Maz Faruqi.
Try 5 for England, scored by Jess Breach, but England will play out the remaining 23 minutes with 14 players. A second yellow for Amy Cockayne means red, so England down to 14, Scotland 0, England 29.
Portsmouth's promotion hopes are on hold. Bolton Wanderers have just equalised. Third place, Bolton 1, Portsmouth 1. Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, and great work down the right-hand side by Nathaniel Ogbeta. He faked a shot, crossed it with his right foot, and waiting inside the 6-yard box was Aaron Collins to head into the top right-hand corner of the net. So those Pompey Championship celebrations just on ice just for now. The fans, though, still in full voice. Bolton 1, Portsmouth 1.
Yeah, there is a chance, actually. I'm going to have to check that, because they could also be promoted with a draw if Cheltenham were to win, and I think if there was another outcome as well. Oh, but it's Derby who are leading by 2-0, so that draw wouldn't be enough as it stands. We're getting to that time of the season, Leon. The permutations can be endless.
Yeah, how long do you prepare for that? Not at all.
Quite a lot, if I could read my own writing. Brentford, Henry Moran.
Still goalless. Brentford 0, Sheffield United 0. Closest we've come to a goal. Terrible defensive pass allows Mbuemo to find Mope, who shot on the stretch just wide. Brentford close, but it remains goalless.
What didn't help is that I've actually merged the writing. So at one stage I had my Portsmouth equation mixing in with Fleetwood down. That's why I mentioned Burton. Memo to self. Eyesight is failing, must write bigger. 7 minutes to go to half time. BBC Radio 5 Live. Newport 1, Tranmere 2 is a latest score in League 2. Doku darts in from that left touchline. At a quiet Etihad, but Manchester City are leading. And now with Mateus, they're going back to the top of the table. They're going 2 points clear of Arsenal and Liverpool, who play tomorrow. Both of those games live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Doku links up with Mateus. Doku still going forward. And then it's crowded out, but he'll win a corner. Had very limited space to operate in, really, Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, but he can move the ball so well. His speed off the mark is quite incredible. And Doughty thought he had the ball off him then and turned around for one moment, and Doku had got it back. And you can't touch him inside that penalty area because, as I said, he moves the ball so well. He's been very lively. But Luton will be pleased with the response after that going behind so early in the game. They've been very stubborn.
It's Alvarez with a corner kick, right-hand side. From Onyedinma's head, it falls to De Bruyne, shoots, blocked. Keeper had already dived away towards his left-hand side. Luton get it away. Kovacic heads it forward. And then Ruben Dias goes down inside the area, but the referee, John Brooks, had a good look at that. Remember, no goals. Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, Brighton is also goalless, but there has been a goal at the City Ground. Pat Murphy.
To Wolves, a superb solo goal by Cunha back in the side. Held off various tackles, curled it past the keeper with his right foot, and then went towards the Forest fans, gesturing to his ears, fanning the flames. Why do players feel the need to do that? Forest 0, Wolves 1.
Forest only 1 win in 8 in all competitions. Wolves 4 without a win, as Alvarez chips it forward off the chest of Haaland. Still that goal difference that we talk about. In many ways, nothing really has changed at the bottom of the table, with both Luton and Nottingham Forest locked together on 25 points, both trailing by a goal to nil. Oxford United 3, Peterborough 0 is the latest score in League One, as the ball is rolled out by Akanji. 5 minutes to go to half time. We're getting ever closer towards the Grand National, as Doku with a cross. Alvarez now further sends over the ball. Cleared only as far as Lewis, edge of the area, out towards Doku, staying on this right hand side, linking up with Alvarez once again. Mateus, edge of the area. Manchester City lead by a goal to nil. Here is Alvarez. Ball played forward to De Bruyne, threads it through. Alvarez has made the run. Alvarez with the cutback. Hashioka cut it out before it could reach Haaland.
Brilliant defending, Hashioka. It looked like it had to be a goal. So patient in their play, Manchester City. Even the crowd are starting to urge them forward, but they go forward when they feel the opportunity is there, and they move it, they keep it on the edge of the penalty area, and suddenly it opens up and Kevin De Bruyne sees the pass. Brilliant play. Alvarez puts it across the face of the goal. You thought Haaland was about to tap it, but brilliant defending.
Crewe 0, Grimsby 1 in League 2 is the latest score. Alvarez with a corner kick near side the right. Gvardiol rises, glancing header off target. Goes out towards the far side, retrieved by De Bruyne at a walking pace. Under 4 minutes to go to half time. Lincoln City unbeaten in 16, have equalised at Sincilbank. Lincoln 1, Wigan 1 is the latest score, as a cross is fired in. Diaz has stayed forward, headed away by Morris, the striker playing as a central defender. Port Vale 2, Exeter 0 is the latest score in League 1. This is Mateus once again. Manchester City looking for a second goal before half time. Doku goes on the outside, but Chong stays with him. Stayed tight too. Corner kick off his legs.
Yeah, the pressure's building, but I think Luton will feel they've done really well here. As I said, limited opportunities, good defending when those times have opened. I thought Gvardiol should have got more on the last corner kick when it came into the penalty area, but if Luton can get to the half time at 1-0, and they'll be delighted.
Livingston bottom of the table, and this corner comes in, headed out by Morris, only as far as De Bruyne. De Bruyne, edge of the D, passes the ball to Doku, seeing a lot of the ball right hand side. On the overlap is Mateus with the cross, headed behind again by Clark this time. Livingston bottom of the table of the Scottish Premiership. We're 2-0 up at Tynecastle. It's now Hearts 3, Livingston 2. Celtic, remember, are still being held by St Mirren, 0-0 at Parkhead. St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1 is a latest score elsewhere. Birmingham City have got a second goal at home to Coventry. Birmingham 2, Coventry 0. Crawley have equalised at home to Colchester. Crawley 1, Colchester 1. As another corner kick comes in, Morris heads it up rather than away, drops inside the area. Kovacic battles for the ball, played out by Burke, looking then towards Doughty, and he was tripped by De Bruyne, and De Bruyne is going to get shown a yellow card as we get an update from Bordeaux with Adam Whitty.
Bordeaux 12, Harlequins 21, a quarter-final thriller. The French side clawed themselves to within 2 through Romain Bureau, but Will Porter's second try on a breakaway has extended Quinn's lead again. Bordeaux 12, Quinn's 21, 32 minutes gone.
2 minutes to go to half-time. Leon Osman.
Yeah, I think some of those defensive headers in that penalty area there from Carlton Morris have been absolutely outstanding. Because there's not really those defensive players, or there's not many defenders in the team, it's so vital that when anything comes into Luton's penalty area, he's there to meet it. Great aggression defensively.
Birmingham City fighting against relegation, and what a boost that second goal will be. Nikesh Rugani.
Yeah, it was a goal, corner from the left, headed away to the edge of the area by Coventry. Ivan Sunic was poised on the edge of the area, low right-footed shot into the back of the net. Massive goal. Birmingham 2, Coventry 0.
And Coventry, the way that results are going, are going to slip down the table and find themselves 6 points outside a playoff position. Mateus slips it himself to Alvarez, right side of the penalty area, back towards Mateus once again. We're about to enter the last 60 seconds of this first half of normal time. De Bruyne comes forward, De Bruyne plays the ball in and blocks. Barkley on his edge of his area to Onyedinma, comes under pressure from Kovacic. Onyedinma back to Hashioka, digs it out and lifts it high downfield under the bright skies here at the Etihad, where Manchester City is still leading by a goal to nil, but it's been one-way traffic. Doku to De Bruyne. De Bruyne, fine save by Kaminski. Again tried to place it right-footed, and Kaminski diving away to his left with a two-handed save. 1-0 to City.
Yeah, that's where you want Kevin De Bruyne. Inside that D, edge of the penalty area, able to pick which side he's going to. He tries to use the defender to bend the ball around. It's Burke, as he opens his body up, he bends it round, and Kaminski read it, got across his goal quick and made a good save.
Colchester next to bottom and are back in front at Crawley. Crawley 1, Colchester 2. Corner comes in from the right hand side, headed out by Burke just inside the penalty area. De Bruyne picks it up with his back to goal. We're into stoppage time, 2 minutes of stoppage time. Kovacic with a shot, right-footed, just over the top of the crossbar. Another goal at Nottingham Forest. Pat Murphy.
Equaliser for Nottingham Forest. A glancing header from Gibbs White, and he's enjoyed it. Pointing to his shirt, the former Wolves player. Fingers in the ears to the Wolves fans. Forest 1, Wolves 1.
That would take them a point clear of Luton Town. Another goal at Wrexham. Owen Gwyneth.
It's 4-0 and his second goal to Paul Mullin. A corner came in to the back post. Mullin with a deflected shot beyond the keeper, and it's all too easy. 4-0 to Wrexham. As it stands, the Red Army are going up.
Yes, they are at the moment, because Barrow down to 10 men are drawing at Gillingham 0-0. MK Dons are being held against Mansfield. That's 1-1. Where will we go next in stoppage time on 5 Live? A red card at the Hawthorns. Hamish Marshall.
It's West Bromwich Albion 0, Sunderland 0, but West Brom will play all of the second half with 10 men. Because Brandon Thomas Asante's been sent off. Nasty challenge in midfield. West Brom 0, Sunderland 0.
Free kick to Luton Town. Come on, Luton is the cry from the away support. It's lifted high into the penalty area over the head of Morris. Townsend, though, will keep the ball in play on that far side, knocked to the floor, but still manages to win it back on one knee. Alvarez, though, clears for Manchester City, looking towards Doku. Onyedinma goes back then to Kaminski. I'm sure as well that Steve Crossman will reiterate this, but a bit of housekeeping just as a reminder. If you want the football uninterrupted, you'll need to switch at half-time to Sports Extra, because on BBC Radio 5 Live you'll hear the Grand National from 4 o'clock in its entirety. Leon Osman, your thoughts of this first half?
I think when the opening goal went in, I thought, as everybody probably did, that the gates would open and Manchester City would score a few in that first half, but Luton have been very stubborn defensively. I think they've worked extremely hard. I think that they've certainly earned getting to this half-time as the whistle just goes, getting to half-time at the scoreline still as it is. They've not really been able to offer an awful lot going forward, but with the scoreline as it is, they've still got a chance of getting something from this game. That's what Manchester City will be wary about. That's what Pep Guardiola will be asking for in the second half. Get that second goal.
And the issues elsewhere: Portsmouth won't be promoted, Fleetwood won't be relegated from League One, but Stockport, while they won't win the title, along with Wrexham, are both on course for promotion. That sums it up in the Football League as half-time here at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Luton Town 0.
Welcome back to Aintree, where the jockeys are lining up for their photographs. Right in front of me now, Derek Fox standing in front of the trophy that he won here last year and looks to win again on Corach Rambler. In the football, Burnley-Brighton, are they still playing in the first half, Lee Blakeman?
They are, Steve, and Burnley should be ahead. It's 0-0, ball from the right, flashed straight across the face of goal. All Fofana needed to do was touch it and it would have been 1-0. Missed it, Burnley 0, Brighton 0.
Still playing at Brentford, Henry Moran.
Just had the half-time whistle, goalless. Brentford 0, Sheffield United 0. Scrappy game, lacking any real control from either side. Brentford in 15th without a win in 9 have had the better chances. Sheffield United, rare glimpses through the tireless Brereton Diaz. Brentford 0, Sheffield United 0.
To the City ground, Forest Wolves, Pat Murphy.
Still playing 1-1, superb solo goal from Cunha. A couple of minutes later, glancing header from Gibbs-White makes it Forest 1, Wolves 1.
All of the runners and riders are now here inside the parade ring as the Grand National approaches. The jockeys have just moved over to the right-hand side to have a little discussion with their owners and trainers before the big race. The horses themselves are just wandering around in front of us, looking like the imperious athletes they are. John Hunt, we are 10 minutes away.
And some wonderful potential stories. Can Corach Rambler win it again and join Tiger Roll and Red Rum? We've got some great family stories, haven't we? Kitty's Light for Christian Williams' team with their sick daughter watching on, and also Late Night Pass, trained by Tom Ellis for his mother and ridden by his wife. They're just 3 of some great tales ahead in the next 10 minutes.
Full commentary on the way here in 10 minutes time. Back to the football. West Brom Sunderland in the Championship. Hamish Marshall.
It's going from bad to worse for West Brom. Sunderland have been second best, but the lead through Pierre Ekwa. Powerful shot from a corner just a minute or so after West Brom had gone down to 10 minutes. West Brom 0, Sunderland 1.
There's been a goal at Stockport versus Morecambe. Rich Wolfenden.
And it's an important one for Stockport. Fraser Horsfall up from the back, heading home a corner, a full forehead on it, and it's 2-0 Stockport.
Remember, Stockport with the opportunity to go up today. Ipswich trying to get out of the Championship at home to Middlesbrough. Becky Ives.
Well, half-time, it is 1 apiece here. Now, despite dominating the early stages of this game, Ipswich found themselves a goal behind. Emmanuel Latte-Laff put Borough ahead 20 minutes in when he headed home a late Luke Ayling cross. They never let up, though. Half an hour in, Leif Davis put a deep cross into the box. Massimo Luongo volleyed. He smashed it, hit the bar, hit the line, hit the bar, went in. So, at the break, 1-0.
Half-time now at Turf Moor. Lee.
Burnley 0, Brighton 0. Burnley's best chance from an Odebear cross. Nobody picked up Brun Larson, unmarked, 5 yards out of the back post, put it wide of the bottom corner. Brighton have offered very little. Burnley 0, Brighton 0.
Burnley, of course, in so much trouble down the bottom of the Premier League. Here at Aintree, the wind is really picking up and bustling all around us with the Grand National less than 10 minutes away. The half-time whistle has just gone at St Mary's in the Championship. Paul Scott.
Southampton 2, Watford 1. Saints doing just enough to keep their automatic promotion push alive. They made a blistering start. Will Smallbone heading them ahead after just 60 seconds. It was 2-0 after 20 minutes. Shea Adams with a close-range finish. But Ryan Porteous' deflected shot 10 minutes before half-time halved the deficit. Southampton 2, Watford 1.
Remember, lots can happen promotion-wise in both League One and League Two this afternoon. Half-time in that game between MK Dons and Mansfield. Big one, Mike Williams.
It's MK Dons 1, Mansfield 1, which means, as things stand, the home side remain behind Mansfield outside the top 3. MK took the lead here, though, through Max Dean's stunning curling shot from the edge of the area. Defender Elliot Hewitt equalised for Mansfield with a tap-in, which keeps them on course for automatic promotion. And this result, with Barrow drawing at Gillingham as well, also means Wrexham, as things stand, will be promoted today.
They're trying to get up from League Two. Portsmouth want to get up from League One. It's half-time in their game at Bolton. Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, Bolton 1, Portsmouth 1. A cracker of a game, played at a blistering pace and plenty of tough tackling too. 17 fouls and a couple of yellow cards is proof. So much at stake at the top of League One, as you said. First versus third, but we are even at the break. Bolton 1, Portsmouth 1.
half-time whistle has now gone at the City Ground. That big game down the bottom of the Premier League for Nottingham Forest, and the half-time score is Forest 1, Wolves 1. Other scores for you then. Let's go into the Championship and rattle through some of them. Birmingham lead Coventry by 2-0. It's Bristol City 0, Huddersfield 0, Hull 2, QPR 0, Millwall 2, Cardiff 1 is a half-time score. Preston 0, Norwich 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Stoke 0, Swansea 0, already relegated, Rotherham 0, and West Brom, as you heard, going down to 10-men trail at 1-0 at home to Sunderland. So those are the scores in the Championship and the Premier League. Remember, big game in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic 0, St Mirren 0 is a half-time score. Others, Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0, Motherwell 0, Hibs 0. Hearts have just scored. They're 4-2 up now at half-time against Livingston, and it's St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1. Back into League 2, Wrexham, well, they are certainly doing their bit this afternoon as they seek to make it back-to-back promotions and go all the way from the National League back up to League 1. Owain Gwynedd.
Yes, Wrexham 4, Forest Green 0. It's been all too easy for Wrexham. A composed and ruthless first half. You can easily see the gulf in class. Goals by Elliot Lee, 2 for Paul Millen, and an own goal by Ryan Innes. Just reward for the amount of good possession Wrexham have enjoyed. Forest Green have only scored in 1 of the last 6 matches, and they've offered no threats today. Combined with a leaky defence, it's difficult to see how Steve Cottrell is going to avoid his first ever relegation as manager and keep the Green Army in League 2. As it stands, Wrexham are going up. Wrexham 4, Forest Green 0.
We have the immaculate Kingsguard soldiers in front of us. The bell you heard a few moments ago was to tell the riders it's time to mount and time to head off onto the Grand National course. The last few of them just in front of us now are making their way away from us through the Great White Gates, where later on only the winners will return. They'll disappear in a couple of seconds from our view and into yours at the top of the commentary box, John Hunt.
Indeed, where Meeting of the Waters is the first runner of the 32 to come out onto the track. The sun is trying to work its way through. A dazzling occasion. 80,000 people watching on here at Aintree. They're about to make their way to the start, and this track is so vast we need 4 commentators to describe the action. One of the first voices you'll hear at the first fence onwards is that of Darren Owen.
Yes, John, fence number 1 has actually been moved. It's actually a little bit closer to the start. I'll be taking them over fences 1, 2, 3 and 4. Fence 3 is the first ditch. On the second circuit they will be 17, 18 and 19 and 20, and I should stress there's quite a strong tailwind on this stretch running down to Beeches, and waiting for the field at the canal turn is Gary O'Brien.
Thank you, Darren. Yes, down here at the canal turn, the furthest point away from the grandstands. I'll be covering 4 fences in this section of the track as well, and they include some household names, the likes of Beecher's Brook, the Foynaven fence, where we had all that drama many moons ago, and the canal turn itself. Then a very sharp left-hander, 90-degree turn, and after that I'll be passing the baton on to Chris Temple.
And Gary, I'll be taking the runners down the side of the course. The field have 4 fences in a straight line, beginning with Valentine's, which is one of the tougher jumping tests. The opposite side of the course to Darren, so it'll be very gusty into the runners' faces on this section once they've negotiated these 4 fences, 9 to 12 on the first circuit. They'll cross the famous Melling Road, and then it's a long run back towards John.
And then, of course, Chris, we'll do it all again. 2 circuits of this famous track. The runners, one by one, streaming past me. Corrock Rambler's just gone by. He looks as cool as a cucumber. And walking to the start is Mr. Incredible. A talented horse, but there's just some doubt as to whether the occasion might get to him. There'll be a standing start for the Grand National, but the first of the runners now streaming down to the first fence just to have a look at things, just to savour the atmosphere. Gallia de Lito is the last one out from the parade ring, heading to post for the Grand National.
Those are your commentators all around the sprawling circuit of the Grand National here at Aintree, somewhere out in the midst of all of these people here who've come to watch one of the greatest races in the world, with the latest betting, Rob Noffman.
I am Maximus for trainer Willie Mullins, his favourite at 13 to 2. They then go 15 to 2. Last year's winner Corrock Rambler. Then 9 to 1 Mr. Incredible. 11 to 1 Panda Boy. 12 to 1 Limerick Lace and Meeting of the Waters. 16 to 1 Marla Mission, Kitty's Light, Vanillier and Noble Yates. It's 20 to 1 Cocoa Beach. And of the outsiders, at 50 to 1 Nassalam and the Gotha. 66 to 1 Eldorado, Alan McTotty and Wamage. And the rank outsider at 125 to 1 is Eclat de Rire.
Every angle covered for you here at Aintree for the Grand National. Gina Bryce, where are you?
Yeah, I'm here right down at the start where a collective group of the horses are now bunched together. They're all sorting themselves out as they prepare to line up for the race. It's a hive of activity. You've got the horse handlers, you've got the luminous yellow jackets of the officials who flank every section of the course to ensure safety and no problems from the crowd. And really you can just feel the nervous excitement of both horses and officials involved here. John mentioned a few moments ago last year's winner Corrick Rambler, who went down cool as a cucumber. Just getting a close-up view of him now, and he is a little bit warm and sweaty under the saddle, and you can really just feel the anticipation down here.
Right now on BBC Radio 5 Live, you have a choice of listening. If you want the football, the second half of Manchester City versus Luton in the Premier League, head over to 5 Sports Extra, where Ian Dennis is waiting for you.
So here we are on Sports Extra, half-time. Manchester City are leading Luton Town by a 1-0. And it's been such a comfortable half, hasn't it, in so many ways, Leon Osman?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you get that first goal in, 65 seconds, Manchester City found themselves ahead in the game, and that in itself just has an effect on the dynamics. Manchester City no longer feel they need to go in search of that goal. Luton are quite happy to just sit back and just soak up the game. Luton will be delighted if they get to 80 minutes or so still with the game 1-0 and still with an outside chance of getting something from the game. I think Pep, having seen him on the touchline in that first half, asking his team to step the pace up. We'll be saying that in the dressing room half time. Step the pace up, let's get the second and third goal, put this out of reach for Luton, then you can play slow, then you can play in control of this game. But at 1-0 you just never know. No, you certainly do never know. And elsewhere in the Premier League, Newcastle United earlier beat Tottenham by 4-0. So you look at the top of the table, and Tottenham with a missed opportunity, because that was essentially their game in hand on Aston Villa. So Aston Villa 32-60, Spurs 32-60. But the nature of that defeat means that on goal difference now, Aston Villa, without even playing, have climbed back into a top 4 place. And the situation is, regarding the additional placings of that extra 5th spot that could mean for the Champions League, because West Ham lost to Bayer Leverkusen on Thursday and Arsenal only drew against Bayern. Germany have just edged further ahead behind Italy, who look nailed on to claim the first additional place for 5 places in the Champions League for next season. And so one of either Aston Villa or Tottenham looks like they're going to miss out on Champions League football. And Aston Villa play on Sunday away at Arsenal, who as it stands have been moved to second in the table, because Manchester City are 2 points clear of both Arsenal and Liverpool. Incidentally, we'll have both of those games live on BBC Radio 5 Live as part of 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Liverpool Crystal Palace underway at 2. Arsenal Aston Villa kicks off at 4:30 as the Grand National is about to get underway. And if you want the race in its entirety, then you need to be on BBC Radio 5 Live for sport from Aintree for that, because here on Sports Extra we're going to be uninterrupted with the football. So elsewhere in the Premier League, Brentford 0, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United and Luton, incidentally, one of the 2 sides who are yet to keep a clean sheet away from home in the Premier League. So Sheffield United could pick up a point at Brentford, who you would think would be safe. I mean, that would take them to 30 points with 5 games remaining. Burnley 0, Brighton 0, and Nottingham Forest 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, as they're underway in the Grand National. And we wait for the emergence of the 2 teams here for the second half. And certainly the top of the Championship, Leeds 0, Blackburn 1. Ipswich coming from behind to draw 1-1 at half-time with Middlesbrough after Leicester last night lost at Plymouth. In League One, the 2 issues that could have been sorted out today: Portsmouth looking for promotion and the title at the same time, drawing 1-1 away at third place Bolton, and Fleetwood could have gone down if they were to have lost and results gone against them, but they're ahead at the break. But in League Two, Stockport won't win the title today, but they are on course for promotion, leading at half-time against Morecambe 2-0
and Wrexham likewise, because MK Dons and Barrow are failing to win. They're on course for promotion as well, as they lead bottom of the table Forest Green by 4-0. Luton Town are emerging here for the start of the second half on 5 Sports Extra, and bearing in mind that none of the centre backs have been able to train this week, these players are going to have to give it another go, and it must be hard as a player when you're just constantly trying to keep your shape and your organisation to try and keep a team such as the quality of Manchester City at bay.
Yeah, I mean, the first question there for the centre backs. I think what is protecting the likes of Burke, who, as you mentioned, what was a doubt for this game, is the fact that he's not really had to run around much. And what I mean by that is Luton have been planted on the edge of their own penalty area. They've not been up and back, and he's really having to get through the distance. The midfielders, the wide men, are having to get through the distance. For the likes of Burke and the midfielders in front of him, Hashioka, it's more shuffling, it's more moving their feet 4 or 5 yards left and right, keeping your concentration levels high. And if you're a player, as this game now develops, as this game goes on, and you start to get tired, the thought process starts to become tired, those are the moments where City may find opportunities arise, and those are the moments Luton have to make sure they try to avoid.
Well, we're underway. Bright sunshine now here at the Etihad, with Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts playing from right to left as we look against the Luton Town side in their orange shirts and navy shorts. Neither side has made a change, so these are the respective starting lineups. Edison in goal, Lewis, Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol for Manchester City. De Bruyne, Kovacic and Mateus. Alvarez, Haaland and Doku are the front three, as Bernardo Silva and Foden are warming up and getting a nice ovation from the City supporters around us. Luton Town have Kaminski in goal, a back four of Onyedinma, Burke, Hashioka and Doughty. So patched up back four because of all of their injury problems. Townsend, Clark, Barkley, Chong and Berry in a 5-man midfield, and Morris as the lone striker. Onyedinma. But as you'd mentioned, Leon, to concede after 65 seconds, that could have been rather ominous for Luton Town, bearing in mind that they've conceded the most goals on their travels in the Premier League this season, but they've kept themselves undeterred.
It's been a good performance, as you say. You think the floodgates will open. They've got a very patched up back four. They are a group of players that an awful lot's being asked of them, and yet on a goal down that earlier in the game, they've stuck together. Their distances have been good. Their work rate has been absolutely incredible. They haven't really been able to trouble Manchester City. There's not a lot of teams that can defend as well as Luton have and trouble Man City at the other end of the field, but I do feel they just need to figure out a way of trying to get further up the pitch at times.
Edison with a flat ball, not cut out by Burke. Running through was Mateus, and then he slips on the edge of the area and allows Onyedinma to come back and to clear. Live on Sports Extra and the World Service, and also on BBC Sounds early in the second half in the sunshine. Manchester City leading Luton by 1-0. Doku faced up now by Townsend on this near side the left. He finished the half on the right. Last touch off Doku, and out it goes for a goal kick. They're probably at the halfway stage in the national now.
You just can't fall there. I mean, it's brilliant play from Edison. You know exactly what he's capable of. I mean, Luton for once get that line wrong at the back. Erling Haaland goes deep, and that means Núñez goes in behind. Burke's unsure what to do. He plays Núñez onside. He's just inside the penalty area. All he needs to do is play it across the edge of the penalty area. Erling Haaland was steaming in full pace, and he just slipped over. He's lost his foot, and whether he's got the right footwear on after the heavy rain that we've had this morning, only he knows that from here.
Kaminski to take his time with a goal kick, all in purple away towards our left-hand side. Brushes off the top of the head by Morris. Lewis gets it away. Alvarez tries to play it back. Like you say, Luton Town will still feel as if they've got something in the game whilst they're only a goal down. I mean, I saw them earlier this season. It was at Kenilworth Road at home to Crystal Palace, and they score a number of late goals, and all it needs is a set piece, a cross to come in, and Luton Town might just start to throw a little bit more caution to the wind when we get to that stage. So they are still in it at that stage, as Barkley now picks it up in the centre circle, runs forward, trailing by 1-0. still would be a surprise given that Manchester City and their dominance at the Etihad, it is a real fortress. Unbeaten in 40 home games in all competitions, closing in on the all-time club record set by Ernest Magnol, 42, December 1919 to November 21. So they've got a chance to equal that against Real Madrid on Wednesday in the Champions League quarter-final second leg after an epic 3-3 in Madrid in midweek. 4 minutes into the second half, Colchester have got a third goal at Crawley. Crawley 1, Colchester 3. And Colchester, with games in hand on Sutton, will be closing the gap on Sutton in their bid to survive and retain their Football League status. There's Gvardiol to Akanji. Akanji goes square. Out to Rico Lewis. Comes on the infield, 25 yards out from goal. Akanji then back out to Mateus. Looks for the run of Alvarez. Right hand side of the area. Waits. Pulls it back. De Bruyne lays it off. Mateus, right corner of the area. Back with Akanji once more. Akanji works it back out towards Alvarez, who fires it in, and it's a goal kick, and it's wide. No other goals to tell you about. Leon Osman.
Yeah, again, dominance from Manchester City now. They're pressing forward. Pep looks a little bit happier than he did in that first half. As I said, his team will come out and start to move the ball in a similar way. But I think if you'd asked Luton and Rob Edwards before the game if Kaminsky had to make the saves he's made so far and that's it, I think they'd be happy. I think I'm expecting Manchester City to really start asking him more questions in the second half now.
Here is Chong tussling for the ball, running forward. Referee says De Bruyne got the ball, and now it's with Gvardiol. Alvarez, Lewis on the overlap right hand side, feeds it to him, doesn't deliver it first time, waits right hand side of the area, enters the box right corner. Alvarez now back, Mateus inside, Akanji 30 yards out from goal, forward ball. Gvardiol with a shot inside the penalty area from De Bruyne's pass. Hashioka gets it away. Harrogate have equalised. Harrogate 1, Sutton 1 is the latest score in League 2. As now it is with Doku on the left hand side, back towards De Bruyne. Kovacic, Mateus turns edge of the D. Manchester City still trying to find another way through, just to maybe put this game to bed. Very hard to see Luton coming back from 2-0 down. As it is, they trail by 1-0. They work it across. The outfield players are joining the attack. Diaz goes on the overlap right-hand side. Lewis back in field. Akanji to Kovacic. Still Luton Town working so hard off the ball to try and keep the champions out. Gvardiol off his left thigh, left side of the area. De Bruyne, side ball, infield. Kovacic can't get the shot away. Berry working so hard. Doku to Kovacic. Passes the ball now towards Diaz. Edge of the area, low shot, dragged off target, right-footed, out for a goal kick. Manchester City still lead by 1-0.
Well, they're hanging in there, Luton. Absolutely hanging in there. It's becoming more difficult. I think the spaces are becoming a little bit bigger. And I'm starting to see one or two of them looking at each other, just asking, can you help me out? Can you get a little bit closer to me? I'm finding myself a little bit exposed, especially those midfield players who are having to cover quite a bit of distance, and with the good rotation from Manchester City, Nunez and Kevin De Bruyne in particular.
For those interested, I Am Maximus has just won the Grand National, and we'll be back once they've digested that result.
Are you pleased about that?
Sorry?
Are you pleased about that?
Potentially. Luton Town trailing still by 1-0. 53 minutes played. MK Dons 1, Mansfield 2 is a latest score in League 2. So Mansfield Town holding off the challenge of MK Dons for the automatic promotion. And that again is good news for Wrexham. Probably only cements their promotion to be sealed today, needing MK Dons to fail to win. Whilst they were drawing, it was still in the balance. Cries of come on City, come on City. De Bruyne, Lewis, to Alvarez. Scuffed effort, wide, left-footed, off target, lacked the power, goal kick. City still lead by a 1-0. Swindon 1, Wimbledon 1 is a latest score, and that is in League 2. Leon Osman.
Yeah, they just seem a little bit rushed with their finishing, Manchester City. I mean, I've seen them so many times where they work the opening, they create the opportunity, and more often than not I see them just taking that second, especially Kevin De Bruyne, just slowing down, just to compose themselves just before they make that finish, especially when shooting from the edge of the penalty area. And today, just with that finish from Alvarez, with one before from Núñez, it's just a little bit rushed in the finish, just lacking that composure that they show so often when they win Premier League games.
Former England international, former Everton midfielder Leon Osman with us here at the Etihad. We've been playing for 10 minutes into the second half. When we're back on 5 Live Sport, we'll go around the grounds just to give you a flavour of anything that you've missed elsewhere with the usual goal service. But Manchester City, when they created a number of chances first half, not necessarily been at it so far 10 minutes into the second period.
Well, they had a little spell just a moment ago when I thought they're just finally starting to pick up a bit of speed, but yeah, it's now Luton who are just putting Manchester City under a touch of pressure, just winning the ball back a little bit better, higher up.
Here is Kovacic running forward out towards Lewis. And welcome back to listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live here at the Etihad. You actually haven't missed anything whilst you've been away, listening to I Am Maximus win the Grand National ahead of Delta Work back in second, because Manchester City still leading by a 0-0. Yes, they've had all of the possession, haven't really created a telling chance so far in this second period, so 1-0 to the champions, but they are still on course to go back top of the table. Sky blue shirts, white shorts, playing from right to left as Alvarez right corner of the area. Neither side has made a change just as yet as De Bruyne edges his way forward, and back it goes out towards Lewis. Luton Town certainly keeping their shape extremely well. They would have feared the worst when they went 1-0 down after 65 seconds, and here we are 56 minutes in, and that is still the scoreline. Alvarez, edge of the area, closed down quickly by Doherty and Barkley. A goal then at MK Dons in that 4th versus 3rd game. Vital match at the top of League 2. As De Bruyne has a snapshot, scuffs it, slices it, saved by Kaminski. Mike Williams.
1, Mansfield 2. The visitors turning it around here, as you say, Ian. Substitute Davis Kilial Dunn off the bench at half-time and tapping in for his 20th of the season after an almighty goal-mouth scramble that had seen the Dons keeper make a triple save. But Mansfield are in front here. They lead MK Dons 2-1.
Hull 3, Queen's Park Rangers 0, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Cambridge have equalised at home to Charlton, and the deadlock's been broken at Celtic Park. Ailey Barber.
And it is the home fans celebrating after what has been a pretty grim viewing for them so far. Reo Hatate with a wonderful finish to give them the lead and put them 4 points clear as things stand at the top of the Premiership. It's Celtic 1, St Mirren 0.
That result for Mansfield, that latest score for Mansfield incidentally, would take them 5 points clear of MK Dons in that 3rd and final automatic promotion place. They would still have a game in hand, and Stockport won't win the title today, but both Stockport County and Wrexham are on course for promotion this afternoon in League 2. Mateus outside the D. Gvardiol sweeps it first time. Doku looks to go on the outside of Onyedinma, keeps his balance, pulls it back. Alvarez with his back to goal, tries to tee up Kovacic. Kovacic pulls it back. Diaz places the ball just wide. Left-footed, 25 yards out from goal, off target, goal kick. Best City move of the second half. They still lead 1-0.
Yeah, really good move, and no surprise that Jeremy Doku was right at the heart of it. Brilliant play, good athleticism and ability to get round the player he's up against in Onyedinma. Dropped his shoulder, played it back into a nice space, and then you're asking someone to go and finish it. Everyone would seem to be passing it, waiting for that perfect moment to open up. Kovacic gave it up, Alvarez passed it on as well, and it was eventually, as you said, Diaz who took the shot on from 22 yards. Just about missed the target.
Andros Townsend, who's made a 4th successive start today, his best run since December. No repeat of that spectacular goal some 6 years ago that got goal of the season. He's been replaced by Cauley Woodrow for Luton Town, who still trail by a goal to nil. It was Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 1. There's been another goal, Pat Murphy.
It's now 2-1 to Forest. It's been scored by Danilo. An emphatic finish, but it was made by Gibbs White. He picked up the tempo 30 yards out, ran at the defence, series of ricochets, 1 or 2 rebounds, and there was Danilo to poke it home, left-footed, 10 yards out. Forest 2, Wolves 1.
That would take Nottingham Forest 3 points clear of Luton Town. Alvarez out to Lewis with a cutback. First time, Mateus, the former Wolves midfielder, enters the penalty area, holds onto the ball, does a 360-degree turn to De Bruyne just outside the box. Alvarez right corner of the area. A wall of orange shirts in front of the Argentine. Diaz once again joins the attack. Gvardiol plays the ball out towards Doku, forced out wide, just up from the byline left-hand side, playing from right to left as we look. Still they try and work this Luton Town defence from the left into a central area. Haaland with a layoff, Alvarez with a shot, and it's off target. Goal kick. Manchester City lead by a goal to nil as we go to Brentford and Henry Moran.
Brentford nil, Sheffield United nil. Scrappy game this. Brentford had the ball in the back of the net, but Jorgensen flagged offside. Brentford nil, Sheffield United nil.
Oxford United 4, Peterborough nil is a latest score, which is a real blow for Peterborough's hopes of automatic promotion. To Turf Moor, Burnley, Brighton, Lee Blakeman.
Burnley nil, Brighton nil. Great chances for Burnley to take the lead. Berger firing over from the edge of the D. Fofana with the diving headers, put it wide from 7 yards. Burnley nil, Brighton nil.
Keeping you up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live. Back to entry with Steve at full time here on BBC Radio 5. We'll give you all the reaction to the Grand National. We'll also, I'm sure, be hearing from Ian Carter and the team at Augusta, because don't forget, at 9 o'clock tonight, the third round of the US Masters with Mark Chapman and co. live on BBC Radio 5 Live, as Birmingham City have got a third goal. Birmingham 3, Coventry 0, Nikesh Regani.
Yeah, and another lovely bit of work from Birmingham. Pass into Jay Stansfield, who was in the 6-yard area. Lovely left-footed finish through the legs of keeper Bradley Collins. It's Birmingham 3, Coventry 0.
And Bristol Rovers in League One, without a goal or a win in their last 7 games, have got a second. Cheltenham 0, Bristol Rovers 2. The Manchester City supporters trying to lift the atmosphere here at the Etihad as Haaland touches it. Gvardiol thought about the shot, also then changed his mind as Doku was available to him on the left-hand side. But basically Luton Town are just camped in and around their own penalty area, and Manchester City are trying to find a way through. They're passing the ball, they're having to be patient as Ruben Diaz out towards Doku. We said in the first half it was like a training exercise, and nothing really has changed in that respect, Leon Osman.
No, well, what Luton are trying to do is force Manchester City wide. When Manchester City, as they did a moment ago with that Alvarez chance, managed to squeeze a pass through the middle, they look really dangerous. And Luton have said you can go wide, you can get into these areas down the sides of our penalty area, and that's if you're going to get anywhere there, the spaces will give up. But Manchester City have moved it from side to side. That's why Doku has looked lively today. He's looked like most likely Man City, but they've done a very good job of hanging in there, Luton.
Full time in the Women's Six Nations. Scotland 0, England 46. Lewis with his back to goal, pods it back towards Kovacic, right footed, took a deflection behind for a corner kick. It's no longer goalless at Brentford. There's been a goal. Henry Moran.
Brentford 1, Sheffield United 0. Given all the room to run, Mikkel Damsgaard with the ball across goal, and it's the youngster Oliver Arblaster who's somehow diverted past Gerbic. Brentford 1, Sheffield United 0.
So Sheffield United and Luton Town are still the only two teams yet to keep a clean sheet away from home in the Premier League this season. Doncaster Rovers in League 2 are looking for an 8th successive win. They're 3-0 up now at home to Accrington, and elsewhere it's Crewe 0, Grimsby 2, Motherwell 0, Hibs 1 is the latest score at Fir Park in the Scottish Premiership, as the referee John Brooks has just stopped play. Corner kick to Manchester City, and there is a VAR check again, a potential handball. Only now inside the stadium would you be aware that that check is actually taking place.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really notice it initially myself. We've just seen it on the replay. Yes, it probably does hit his arm, but not handball for me.
Corner's taken. Alvarez pulls it back. Kovacic with a volley. What a super effort. Right-footed. His first goal in the Premier League. Rifle past Kaminski. And that surely makes the point safe as the champions move back to the top of the table. Manchester City 2, Luton Town 0.
Wow, what a hit. I was about to be critical of him moments ago, where the ball came to the edge of the penalty area and he felt he needed a touch before he hit it. And about 5 minutes before that, the ball came to him. He refused to take the opportunity on. This time, as the ball comes to him, edge of the penalty area, he's under pressure. I think it's Burke's trying to get out to get in his face. It's hip high, the ball. He's allowed it to come across him. He's hit it in that sidewinder position, and boy did he hit it. It's come off the foot. I think maybe Woodrow gets out the way of it slightly. Well, Kaminski's got no chance in the goal. It hits the top corner and it's still rising when it does. Brilliant goal for City. The second goal was coming despite Luton trying to hang in there, and that looks like it's too far out of reach for Luton now.
Super technique as well from Kovacic as Guardiola tries to whip up the crowd inside the Etihad, and there's been another goal at the City ground. Pat Murphy.
Equaliser from Cunha again for Wolves. Ball headed on from a corner. Cunha near the goal line, flicked it on. At the moment there's 2-2. There's a VAR decision imminent. Keep you posted on that one, Ian. Right, looks as if it's gone Wolves' way. It's Forest 2, Wolves 2, Cunha second.
Thank you, Pat. Manchester City then are going to go 2 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Arsenal and Liverpool both play tomorrow. You'll hear the games live on BBC Radio 5 Live. As for Celtic, they're looking to go 4 clear. Ailey Barber, you've had another goal.
And they have doubled their lead here at Celtic Park. Another of their Japanese influence. It was Kyogo with his 11th goal of the season heading in an Alistair Johnson cross. It is Celtic 2, St Mirren 0.
And Livingston, bottom of the table, are now down to 10 men as they trail at Hearts by 4 goals to 2. They were 2-0 up at Tynecastle. No other goals to tell you about so far here on 5 Live, BBC Sounds and the World Service. But Manchester City leading Luton Town 2-0 as the ball spread out towards this near side for Onyedinma up against Gvardiol. Gvardiol, though, shows his strength. Onyedinma, though, manages to wriggle free. Gvardiol down on one knee. Onyedinma with a pullback, and then the effort from Woodrow, right-footed, curling, hits the crossbar. Very, very unlucky for Luton Town as they came close to reducing the arrears. Onyedinma did very well.
Oh, brilliantly. And yeah, he is unlucky, Woodrow, but I do think he's got to score. I think when that chance comes back to him, I think he watches it onto his foot, he picks his spot, he just gets a bit too much on it, and I think he thought he'd scored himself. But brilliant by Onyedinma. Gvardiol looked like he had the ball under control. He took it off him, rounded him and picked his teammate out. Unlucky.
Here is De Bruyne, meanwhile, running at the Luton defence. He passes the ball forward. Alvarez tries to scoop it back as he slid towards the dead ball line over on that far side, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. So Manchester City lead Luton 2-0. Brentford 1, Sheffield United 0, Burnley 0, Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Wolves 2. Another goal at Wrexham. Owen Gwynedd.
Yes, Wrexham 5, Forest Green at 0, and maybe this is the best of the 5 as well. Wing back to wing back, James McLean sweeping the ball in from the left hand side. Ryan Bennett with a super first time volley into the roof of the net, and it's 5-0 to the hosts. And as it stands, Wrexham are going up to League One.
Yes, they are, because they needed MK Dons and Barrow both to fail to win. Barrow are down to 10 men, now trailing at Gillingham by a goal to 0, and as we know, MK Dons 1, Mansfield 2. So Wrexham and Stockport will both be promoted. Stockport could have won the title today, but that won't be happening as it stands, and the 2 issues in League One won't be happening either. Fleetwood will survive a stay of execution, and Portsmouth won't be getting promoted either, and indeed won't be winning the title. There's been another goal. It's at Brentford. Henry Moran.
Brentford have got a second. It looks like their first win in 10, and oh so easy. And Bueno's free kick. Damsgaard with all the room in the world to smash in the volley from the edge of the box. Brentford 2, Sheffield United 0.
Kyle Walker is just getting a little bit of a chance to warm up. He's missed the last 4, getting a nice ovation from the City supporters. I wonder if we might see Kyle Walker just get a run out with 15 minutes remaining with Real Madrid on the horizon. De Bruyne chips the ball in. Lewis makes the run round the far post, almost got it goalwards. It was kept out by an arm of Kaminski. 2-0 to City.
Yeah, did just enough there, Kaminski. Brilliant ball again from De Bruyne. He just drops it over full-backs' heads so elegantly, so perfectly. He probably does all he can there, Rico Lewis. It's a difficult opportunity, but yeah, I do think we might see Kyle Walker. What a time to be getting him back ahead of that second leg with the potential pace Real Madrid have up front, and the subs that they've made. They've got Walker, Ake, Grealish, Rodley, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, all on the bench today. So City looking strong at this stage of the season.
Shrewsbury are drawing 0-0 at home to Wickham. They are, though, down to 10 men. Tom Flanagan has been sent off in League One. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We're midway through the second half. Manchester City looking for more goals. Luton Town hoping that their goal difference doesn't take a battering here against the champions. Their last visit in the top flight is actually their heaviest defeat that they've ever suffered against Manchester City. They've never had a good record on their travels away. Only 3 successes in 23 visits to Manchester. This is their first ever trip to the Etihad, and they're 2-0 down as Gvardiol makes a run infield off the left touchline. De Bruyne looks towards Haaland. Haaland couldn't take it in first time. Doherty will run the ball away. 20 minutes remain. Gillingham 2, Barrow 0 will ensure that promotion party can get started at the racecourse ground, because Wrexham 5-0 up against bottom of the table Forest Green. They mean that they will be promoted with Stockport County from League 2 today. Nottingham Forest 2, Wolves 2, Burnley 0, Brighton 0, Brentford 2, leading Sheffield United by 2-0 to Turf Moor. Lee Blakeman.
Burnley 0, Brighton 0. Couple of Brighton chances to tell you about. Gross with a shot, brilliantly tipped over by Muric. The shot going in from the edge of the area, and then Gross with a corner saw it headed just wide by João Pedro. Burnley 0, Brighton 0.
Here is Doku on the left hand side, turns away from Onyedinma, and the foul challenge comes in from Onyedinma, and it was no foul, says referee John Brooks. Had a good view of that, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Henry, I'm hearing that second Brentford goal didn't stand.
It hasn't stood, no. A VAR check for a foul on Ollie McBurney. Sam Barrett had a look on the monitor and decided it was a foul. Looked harsh to me. Brentford 1, Sheffield United 0.
Run through all the latest scores for you as we edge our way towards full time. We've got 19 minutes remaining. So Sheffield United trailing by 1-0. There's a vital game down at the bottom of the Championship, though, in the Steel City, and there's now been a goal at Hillsborough. Naz Premji.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Stoke City 0. Barry Bannon's ball in, and Liam Palmer's drilled the ball into the bottom corner. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Stoke City 0.
So for Sheffield Wednesday there to take the lead, despite Birmingham leading Coventry by 3-0. Sheffield Wednesday, who 22nd today, will be out of the relegation zone as Hashioka sees this ball back to Kaminski. And Stoke City now are just a point outside the relegation zone. It's so tight down at the bottom. You'll have Huddersfield on 44 points, bearing in mind Rotherham have been relegated. Huddersfield, Birmingham, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, Queen's Park Rangers, Plymouth, even Blackburn Rovers, who won away at Leeds by 1-0. You'll have all those teams separated by just 5 points. Bordeaux Harlequins, Champions Cup quarter-final, Adam Whitty.
Bordeaux 19, Harlequins 28. Nicolas Deportea's fabulous individual scores closed the gap in a fabulous European quarter-final. Quins lead Bordeaux 28-19, 53 minutes gone.
2 goals in 60 seconds at the Bescott Stadium in League 2. It was Walsall 1, Notts County 2, but Notts County have restored their 2-goal cushion. Walsall 1, Notts County 3. 18 minutes remain here at the Etihad. Manchester City on course to go 2 points clear at the top.
Yeah, they are, and it was a comfortable win, really. I mean, Luton have tried to stay in the game. As we've mentioned, they made it difficult, but just when they need to, they step the pace up. Pep Guardiola out on the side of the pitch. He just urged the crowd, and I don't see that an awful lot. He's clapping, trying to get the crowd going, just to help his team raise the levels, and they did. But I mean, what a goal! He doesn't score poor goals, Kovacic, when he does. I remember only scored for Chelsea a couple of years back, ridiculous, and that one wasn't too far off it.
Well, that was a fine effort. He'd scored in the Club World Cup for his first for the club. He then scored against Luton in the FA Cup as Alvarez picks it up now just outside the D. That's his first goal in the Premier League, so his third goal in his 38th appearance for Manchester City. Swindon 2, Wimbledon 1 is the latest score in League 2. Here is Mateus with a shot, curling effort, right-footed. Comfortable height for Kaminski, who made the save falling towards his right. Let's get the team news from Bournemouth. Conor McNamara.
Yes, well, Bournemouth, who've had a successful week with Antonio Areola being named Premier League Manager of the Month. They've got 3 changes from the side that started against Luton last weekend. Senesi returns to the defence in place of Lloyd Kelly, and in the absence of Semenyo and Tavernier, there's a refresh of the wide areas with Tara and Sinisterra come into the team. Manchester United unchanged. That means Rashford, who was a doubt, starts.
And Mark Warburton joins Conor for commentary at 5:30 for Bournemouth against Manchester United. You'll hear that after Sports Report that will come live from Aintree on the day that I Am Maximus won the Grand National, as there is going to be another change and Mpanzu is going to be coming on. Don't forget, tomorrow 5 Live Premier League Sunday, Liverpool Crystal Palace at 2, Arsenal Aston Villa at 4:30, both the games live on BBC Radio 5 Live. And on Wednesday, a choice of listening for the return legs of the Champions League quarter-finals. Manchester City, Real Madrid live on 5 Live, Bayern Arsenal live on Sports Extra. As the clearance from Luton Town only reaches Gvardiol, passes the ball forward. Doku has an area of space, enters the area. Doku trip, penalty. Awarded by John Brooks without any hesitation. Doku, Leon Osman was just far too quick for Onyedinma.
Yeah, as I said, it's been a good battle between those two. Onyedinma as orthodox right back filling in today. He's just found it very difficult at times. His pace has been good, but whenever Doku's done this, dropped his shoulder, really twisted him up, that's where it's been difficult. He had too much space initially. Manchester City got an overload on the far side of the pitch. Luton was stretched. Suddenly Onyedinma, instead of starting in that right back position, had to come out from having overcovered his centre backs. And once Doku dropped his shoulder, pretended to come inside to curl it far post, chopped it back towards the touchline. Onyedinma stretched for it. He went for the feint, brought him down, and initially straight away, hands to his head, lying on his back. He knew he'd given away the penalty. And now Erling Haaland stood on the ball, does have a chance to get on the score sheet.
Doncaster 4, Accrington 0, Port Vale 2, Exeter 2, Swansea lead relegated Rotherham by a goal to 0. Erling Haaland, who missed against Sheffield United earlier this season, his penalty record from the spot, 12 from 14 for the Sky Blue of Manchester City. This will take him for what would be his 20th Premier League goal of the season. Haaland waits, Kaminski all in purple, arms aloft. We're looking away towards our left-hand side. Erling Haaland. Manchester City going back top of the table regardless. Haaland 3, 4, 5 steps back, poised. Haaland runs up, trusty left-footed, sends the keeper the wrong way. Left-footed finds the back of the net. From the spot, Haaland delivers. And Manchester City now unbeaten in 41 home games. It's such a formidable record ahead of Real Madrid's visit in the Champions League quarter-final second leg in midweek. Manchester City 3, Luton Town 0.
Yeah, straightforward penalty kick. He on his foot through the ball. He opened his body up. He allowed the goalkeeper to dive to his left. He passed it with that open foot, and I don't think he's had the best of games today, Erling Haaland, but he's a goal scorer. He doesn't mind. He's on the score sheet, and as you said, you're going into that game on Wednesday now, Real Madrid with an incredible home record, with a striker who's on the score sheet, having rotated, having rested people. The crowd seem really happy. Pep seems pleased. I'll be saying bring it on Wednesday.
Elsewhere, the only goalless game at Turf Moor is no longer goalless. Lee Blakeman.
Burnley are ahead. Burnley 1, Brighton 0. Brownhill through on goal. Verbruggen come racing off his line, kicked the ball, kicked it straight against Brownhill, and it ricocheted in. Burnley 1, Brighton 0.
Burnley 1 win in 15, Brighton 1 win in 6 in the Premier League, and Burnley, who are in the relegation zone, would move to 22 points as Mpanzu has come on for Luton Town. Gillingham 3, Barrow 0 is the latest score from League 2 at Priestfield. Certainly Luton wouldn't want to concede any more.
No, of course. I mean, you never know when you get to the end of the season, every goal may count. That's the same for the other end for Manchester City. They probably want as many goals as they can from this game. Every team in the bottom wants to concede as few as possible, because come the end of the season, relegations are done, and titles can be won on goal difference.
And certainly that goal difference could be a massive factor at the bottom of the table. But Nottingham Forest drawing against Wolves. Luton Town, who, remember, at the start of play were 4 goals inferior to Forest. and it was Carlton Morris who was the player who is come off. I think it might have been Berry who went off. Luke Berry came off for Mpanzu in the midfield, and they're going to make a change here, Manchester City. And again, this will be with that Champions League tie very much in mind. Sergio Gomez and Oscar Bob are the two players who are going to be coming on, and De Bruyne and Haaland are the players who are going to be going off. Just over 12 minutes remain here at the Etihad. Stoke City have equalised at Hillsborough, which could be vital for Stoke City. Very, very tight down at the bottom of the table in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday were leading. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Stoke 1. Naz Premji.
Yes, Luke Cundle it was, down the left-hand side, off the substitutes bench and slotted into the bottom corner. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Stoke City 1.
No other goals. I'll rattle through all the divisions for you very, very soon. But Oscar Bob and Sergio Gomez wait to come on. Pep Guardiola looks very, very relaxed. It's going to be an extremely busy sports report with the reaction from Aintree to I Am Maximus winning the Grand National this afternoon. A lot to squeeze in half an hour before our next commentary of Bournemouth against Manchester United, as Luton Town, trailing 3-0, have got a free kick over on that far side, the right, playing from left to right, and it will be eventually touched to Barkley, and Barkley runs to the edge of the area, and then Barkley eventually hangs on to the ball and is forced out wide. It's a quick throw from Barkley in towards Woodrow, who earlier at the crossbar. Doughty darts in, forces a save from Edison, comes out to Onyedinma, rides up his chest, enters the box. The angle is tight and he hits the side netting, right-footed out for a goal kick. They still trail 3-0.
Oh, that's what top goalkeepers do. Hasn't really been asked to do anything with regards to making saves today. I think that's the first effort Luton Town have got on target, but suddenly good bit of play, quick thinking from Ross Barkley, quick throw in into Woodrow, back heel inside the penalty area to Doughty, who's on the run. The City defenders can't touch him. One touch out of his feet, second one hard and low across the goalkeeper, who with an outstretched left foot made a really good save to make sure Manchester City kept this clean sheet. That now means that Pep Guardiola can make his substitutions. That means he can bring up Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne and bring on Sergio Gomez and Oscar Bob and just give some more minutes to his fringe players.
Well, good run out for De Bruyne. There's a big hug for Haaland from Guardiola. Remember, he was ill in midweek. De Bruyne, he would have started that game in the Bernabeu Stadium. Kovacic took his place. The changes being made. These are the latest scores, incidentally, in the Scottish Premiership here on 5 Live. And the ball given away at the back. This is Barkley. Barkley to the penalty area, gets a goal back. Ross Barkley takes full advantage. Sloppy play by Manchester City, and Barkley, low left-footed, finds the bottom right-hand corner. It might only be a consolation, but it's now Manchester City 3, Luton Town 1 with 9 minutes to go.
Oh, Pep Guardiola is furious out in front of us. Your goalkeeper's just made a great save to make sure you don't give a goal away, and you followed it up within 10 seconds of the substitution. You're playing out from the back, you play it to the goalkeeper, plays it to Matheus Nunes, who takes his first touch edge of the penalty and just runs in. I think it runs into Mpanzu, just nicks the ball off and plays to Barkley. City's defence is so exposed, drops his shoulder against Diaz, far post, hits it hard and low. Goalkeeper on this occasion can't get near it, but as I said, you get away with it on one occasion. And for people like Matheus Nunes, who are stepping in the team, who are not getting as many minutes as they want, you can't afford to make big mistakes like that that cost your team goals. Pep will not allow that to be part of his team.
And while Luton Town were getting a goal back, there's been another goal at Turf Moor. Lee Blakeman.
Brighton are level in the most bizarre circumstances. The ball was passed back to Burnley keeper Muric, went to take a touch with the side of his foot. It's rolled straight under his foot and over the line. Bizarre here at Turf Moor. Burnley 1, Brighton 1.
And there's been a goal at Ashton Gate. Molly Stevens.
Bristol City 0, Huddersfield 1. In a game that's been a shocker, you get the feeling that just one goal could be crucial. It's Josh Koroma from close range, his 6th of the season, to breathe life into Huddersfield Town in the relegation zone. 1-0 Huddersfield.
They had started the day outside the relegation zone, but the results going against them, they were in the bottom 3. That now means that Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham are inside the bottom 3 with relegated Rotherham, as Doku, left-hand side of the penalty area. Doku sends turns over across towards the far post. There's nobody there. A few minutes ago I promised to rattle through the scores for you. Here we go in the Scottish Premiership. Latest scores: Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0, Celtic 2, St Mirren 0. They'll go 4 points clear of Rangers. Rangers though will have 2 games in hand. Hearts, who were 2-0 down against bottom of the table Livingston, now lead 4-2. Livingston are down to 10 men. Motherwell 0, Hibs 1, St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 2 is the latest score of McDermott Park. We've got 7 minutes remaining. Sports Report is coming up on BBC Radio 5 Live. Manchester City with a Kanji out towards that far side. The champions leading by 3 goals to 1. Ball in field. Sergio Gomez to Alvarez. Try to tee it back towards him. Gomez though wins it back. Here is Doku. Doku thought about the shot, rolls it, enters the penalty area onto his right foot, still blocked by a wall of orange shirts. Oscar Bob now will take over left hand side of the penalty area, still trying to find a way through. They have defended in numbers for the majority of this game, have Luton Town. They've made it very, very difficult at a number of opportunities for Manchester City, as Gvardiol thought about the shot. Now finds Rico Lewis, central area. He tees up Doku. Doku on his toes, enters the penalty area, shifts it onto his right boot. Curling effort is off target. Latest scores then in League 2, where Stockport County and Wrexham are on course for promotion today. Crawley 1, Colchester 3, Crewe 0, Grimsby Town 2, Doncaster 8 wins in a row, leading Accrington now by 4 goals to 0. Gillingham 3, the 10 men of Barrow 0, Harrogate 2, Sutton United 1. Sutton United dropping into the bottom 2 as Colchester climb out of the relegation zone. MK Dons 1, Mansfield 2, Newport 1, Tranmere 2, Salford 1, Bradford City 1. Stockport lead Morecambe by 2 goals to 0. Swindon 2, Wimbledon 1, Walsall 1, Notts County 3, and Wrexham 5, Forest Green 0. Leon Osman.
Yeah, this game seems like it's all but done with, really. Luton, they've had a good go today, Luton. They'll be pleased with how they reacted to going behind early in the first moments of the game, and that kind of thing can really shake anybody. I think Rob Edwards will be pleased of how his team have stuck together, how they're missing quite a lot of defenders, how they're really struggling in that area, and yet they've been compact, they've been difficult to play against. They've made it awkward more than anything for Manchester City today, but City just get the job done. Great home record, they keep moving the ball, stay in charge of the play, moving from side to side, and just take opportunities when they come.
And going 2 points clear ahead of Arsenal and Liverpool. Gomez with a cross from the right hand side into the arms of Kaminsky. It is into the Championship. There's been a goal at St Mary's. Paul Scott.
Southampton 2, Watford 2. Watford have completed the comeback. A big blow to Saints' promotion push. Ismail Coney, the substitute, with a surging run and a cool, composed finish into the bottom corner. Southampton 2, Watford 2.
Cheltenham 0, Bristol Rovers 3, St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 2, the 10 men of Shrewsbury 0, Wycombe 1 in League 1, Swindon 3, Wimbledon 1 is the latest score in League 2, Port Vale 2, Exeter 3 is the latest in League 1, and indeed I'll give you the latest scores now in League 1 as we start at Oakwell. Barnsley 1, Reading 1, Bolton Wanderers 1, Portsmouth 1. It means that Portsmouth won't be promoted today. Cambridge United 1, Charlton 1, Charlton looking to go 13 unbeaten. Carlisle already relegated 0, Blackpool 1, Cheltenham 0, Bristol Rovers 3, Derby 2, Leyton Orient 0, Fleetwood 2, Northampton 0. Fleetwood then won't be relegated. Lincoln 1, Wigan 1. Lincoln looking to extend their unbeaten run to 17 games. Oxford United 4, Peterborough United 0, Port Vale 2, Exeter 3, Shrewsbury 0, Wycombe 1, and Stevenage down to 10 men 0, Burton Albion 2. Latest scores to come in the Championship and the Premier League here on BBC Radio 5 Live with 4 minutes remaining. No other goals elsewhere. Just a question of playing out time, really, and making sure that they don't give another lapse in concentration for Luton.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for both teams, they want to make sure that they don't lose concentration to give anything away. City playing out from the back. They've already left themselves exposed once. Pep's watching like a hawk when certain players get the ball.
Here is Doku. Doku dancing his way in towards the penalty area. Super goal from Doku. And the approach play is matched by a calm finish as he rolled it right-footed into the bottom right-hand corner. And Manchester City lead Luton 4-1. Fabulous by Doku. Sheer delight.
Oh, outstanding. And they played right from the back. They risked the ball a little bit in the build-up to this Manchester City. They sucked Luton up the pitch. And for one of only a few occasions, they allowed Doku just to get an actual 1v1 with Onyedinma in this right-back position for Luton. They did that by encouraging Luton to come on to them, played through them, and then I feel sorry for Onyedinma somewhat because he's had to go and play in a position he's not comfortable in playing. He certainly hasn't played there before for Luton this season in the Premier League. Stepping in there, you're up against Jeremy Doku, who can do what he's just done to you: twist and turn, get behind you. You've already given a penalty kick away. He skips behind you on the other shoulder, this side, on the inside, and then when the defender Hashioka comes over to try and block him, he just slide passes it through his legs. Goalkeeper has no chance, in just inside that far post. Brilliant goal from Doku.
Let's get an update in the Rugby Union. Adam Whitty.
Bordeaux 36, Harlequins 35. What a game, what a comeback from the French side. Mados Tambwe with a superb score to give Bordeaux the lead. Quins have been fabulous today, but trail for the first time. A blockbuster finish ahead. Bordeaux lead 36-35, 13 minutes to go.
Wrexham are going up in style. Owen Gwyneth.
Yeah, it's Wrexham 6, Forest Green 0. Wrexham ringing the change in complete control here, and one of the replacements, Jack Marriott, getting on the end of a third assist by James McLean. Cue the celebrations. Nearly 12,000 here poised to run onto the pitch. Wrexham 6, Forest Green 0. League One is on the way.
Gavin Ramjohn seen a goal at Deepdale.
Yeah, Preston 0, Norwich 1. What a goal from Gabriel Sara. The ball's crossed over to him as he's bearing down on goal. Spins away from 3 Preston defenders. Both teams have been looking for a winner in this one, but Gabriel Sara has put Norwich 1 up here at Deepdale in the closing stages.
Looking to consolidate 6th place in the playoff positions in the Championship. So 4-1 to Manchester City. We've got 60 seconds remaining, giving you the latest scores in the Scottish Premiership, League 2 and League 1. Joe Johnson and Zach Nelson have come on for Onyedinma and Clark for Luton Town. Now at the top of the Championship, Leicester lost last night, Leeds United lost at lunchtime, Ipswich is currently drawing 1-1 at home to Middlesbrough, but that would still take them top of the table, albeit by a point over Leicester. Leicester would have a game in hand, as Manchester City have a corner kick. Alvarez plays it out towards Sergio Gomez, left corner of the area. Oscar Bob now takes over on this left hand side to Doku. Doku onto his right foot, swifts back onto his left. Alvarez now waits. Luton Town still trying to damage limitation exercise. Cross from Gomez off the chest of Diaz. He pulls it back towards Kovacic, who's already scored a fine goal, and Luton force Manchester City away as Rico Lewis switches play to the left corner of the area for Doku, and there's another goal at Celtic. Ailey Barber.
And that has sealed the points for Celtic. Adam Ida with their third of the afternoon, his 7th goal in 10 appearances since he moved to Glasgow, and he's made it Celtic 3, St Mirren 0.
So in the Championship, Leeds 0, Blackburn 1 was the result. Mateus forward just outside the D, unable to get sight of goal, passes the ball towards Sergio Gomez. We're going to find out how much added on time there will be. Here is Kovacic, still got to give you those latest scores in the Championship. These Birmingham 3, Coventry 0, but they will remain in the relegation zone. Bristol City 0, Huddersfield 1. Huddersfield will be out of the zone by just a point. Hull City 3, Queen's Park Rangers 0, keeping their playoff hopes alive, as this is Gomez to the edge of the area. Ipswich 1, Middlesbrough 1. Middlesbrough looking to go 9 unbeaten. Ipswich go to the top of the table. Millwall 2, Cardiff 1. Preston 0, Norwich 1. Cross out towards Doku on the left hand side. Preston 0, Norwich 1. Doku still on the left, pulls it back, edge of the area. Kovacic slipped by Gomez. Luton are able to break. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Stoke 1. Southampton 2, Watford 2. Swansea 1, relegated Rotherham 0. West Brom down to 10 men 0. Sunderland 1. But it's so tight down at the bottom of the Championship, from Blackburn in 17th at 49 points all the way down to Sheffield Wednesday in 23rd on 44. We're into stoppage time here at the Etihad. Manchester City, Kovacic has been announced as the player of the match as Alvarez runs out towards that far side, and there will be 5 minutes of added on time. Here is Bob with a cut back towards Rico Lewis. Alvarez with a shot blocked on the line. Kovacic with another shot blocked, headed out by Woodrow. Manchester City looking for a 5th goal. Barkley turns and brings it away. Out it then goes towards Carlton Morris. Morris over on that far side. There's been a goal at Brentford. Henry Moran.
That will seal the points for Brentford. Frank Onyeka off the bench, immediately slotting the ball beyond Gerbic to make it Brentford 2, Sheffield United 0.
And a goal at MK Dons in that 4th versus 3rd in League 2. Mike Williams.
There's been 2 since you were last with me. It's now MK Dons 1, Mansfield 4. The most recent just gone in from James Gale. Before that, Davis Keylor done with his 2nd of the match has all but confirmed Mansfield for that 3rd automatic promotion spot got in League Two. They've won this by 4-1, surely, and that means that MK Dons are now highly unlikely to catch them. 4-1.
The reason being is that MK Dons only have 2 games remaining, and they're 5 points behind Mansfield, who actually have a game in hand. So Mansfield very, very soon, you would think, will be joining Stockport and Wrexham in celebrating promotion. Doku meanwhile enters the penalty area. Then the effort from Guardiola, and he rifles the ball into the top left-hand corner. He scored his first goal in midweek. He's now scored his first in the Premier League, and it's another fine effort as Manchester City now lead Luton Town by 5-1.
Oh, same position, same foot, just different corner. He goes high to the near post this time than he did in the Bernabeu in the week. It's a brilliant bit of play again from Jeremy Doku out on this left-hand side. He pulls it back to the edge of the penalty area where Vardiol is waiting for it. I mean, Luton have been desperate for this final whistle for a good few minutes. I don't know if it actually took a deflection, maybe. I'll just see it again. No, it doesn't. He hits it brilliantly towards that near post. But Luton have been desperate for this final whistle. It's in these moments, this last 5 or 10 minutes, where you realise the dominance of Manchester City for the previous 75, 80 minutes that takes its toll on the legs of teams like Luton. And they've worked hard, they've worked tirelessly, but the distances have just become too much. They've been so stretched in the last 5 or 10 minutes of this game, and City could have had another 3.
Oxford 5, Peterborough 0. Lincoln's 16-match unbeaten run is going to come to an end, it would seem, at Sincilbank. Lincoln 1, Wigan 2, Barnsley 2, Reading 2, Shrewsbury 0, Wycombe 2 is the latest in League 1. Motherwell 1, Hibs 1 is how it's finished. And Stevenage have got a goal back. Stevenage 1, Burton 2. Remember, elsewhere in the Premier League earlier, Newcastle beat Tottenham by 4-0. As here is Mateus. They all want to get on the act now, and his shot took a deflection, saved by Kaminski. Latest scores though: Brentford 2, Sheffield United 0, Burnley 1, Brighton 1, 5-1 here at the Etihad. Nottingham Forest 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Forest will be a point clear of Luton, who take on Brentford at home next Saturday, which is going to be crucial if they are to try and claw their way to safety. But time is running out for Luton Town, who are 5-1 down here. Let's get an update from Turf Moor. Lee Blakeman.
Burnley 1, Brighton 1, but Brighton should have won it. Ansu Fati, ball in from the left, picked out Buonanotte inside the 6 yards area, and to make up for his earlier error, amazing point-blank save by Muric. 3 to play. Burnley 1, Brighton 1.
They've conceded the most goals on their travels in the Premier League, and the goal difference has certainly worked in favour of Nottingham Forest here today, because late goals for Manchester City, it was always going to be comfortable, and in the end it was an emphatic victory. They've beaten Luton Town by 5-1. Leon Osman.
Yeah, pretty straightforward really for Manchester City. Started very quickly, then controlled the majority of the game. Luton thought they may have found a way back into it with a sloppy bit of play from Manchester City at the back that gave Ross Barkley the opportunity to get on the score sheet. But all in all, it was pretty straightforward. Pep rung the changes, he freshened up his side, he brought in some fringe players in Bob and Gomez towards the end. So it was a pretty satisfactory day. Good scoreline for Manchester City with regards to that goals tally come the title at the end of the season. So opportunity now to look forward to Wednesday. Luton will brush themselves off then, but this was always a difficult game, not a game anyone expected them to pick up any points, especially with their injury worries, and they certainly will now look forward to the next game, which is Brentford, and that is a huge one.
Luton Town remain in the relegation zone. Manchester City are 2 points clear of Arsenal and Liverpool. They took the lead after 65 seconds, a Hashioka own goal, then goals in the second half from Kovacic, Haaland penalty, Doku and Gvardiol. Ross Barkley a mere consolation. Full time, Manchester City 5, Luton Town 1.